Fence fam, what is up? Welcome back. Good morning. We're back in the Expert Professional Wood Care Studios, and we're back on a Saturday for once. The first Saturday in probably about the last month. But because we're back hard at it. We just wrapped up another week here at Ozark Fence. Hope your guys' week has been super good. It's been profitable, and you're moving towards your goals. Guys, if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is the recording of a live Q&A that I do now every Saturday from 10 to 12:30 Central. You can find us at youtube.com/Joe Everest. Guys, if you're tuning in live, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll get to the comments here in a minute. Let us know you're here by saying hello, and let us know where you're from. It's always kind of interesting to see where in the wild world of fencing you're from. Without further ado, if you guys read the description, you know who we're talking to today. We've got a special guest, Mr. Fence himself. Shawn King, how are you?
What's up? I'm good.
Yeah.
Hopefully my voice holds out for today.
I was impressed. Yesterday when we spoke, your voice was a little less finished. You can tell you'd been at it all day.
We've been recovering. We've had quite an exciting past few days with Fence Armor and White Castle Construction here in Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't look like your normal office.
This is not my normal office, no. But we got Bentley across the border, and we are parked in the parking lot currently.
Very
out
good.
here living it up. So had a great few days, that's for sure.
Now, let's start off by talking, why in the world are you in Canada there at Fence Armor?
Well, so our East Coast training trip, right, coming up the East Coast, went through New York. We've been on the road now for 4 weeks with Mr. Fitz Academy, training across the country, helping others become better, improving ourselves along the way, too. I've learned a ton of golden nuggets I get to share along the way. But we are up here in Canada with a great follower. Adrian has been a follower of ours for a long time. He bought Equalizer years ago. So he's been a big supporter of ours, and it was amazing to have the opportunity to come up here and partner with Fence Armor and work with his team and see the incredible work these guys are doing in an environment that is difficult. Let's just say that. All right. I mean, difficult. We talking, the digging is horrible. You hear that all over, Joe. I got rocks. I got bigger rocks. Listen, I'm going to tell you what, I've been through, I think we were doing the math the other day. It was like 12 fence companies or 12 locations in 4 weeks. So I've seen soil from Indiana to Alabama to Florida, the entire East Coast, to New York, up to Canada. So I have seen a recent fresh sampling of dirt all over this side of the East Coast. And I know what hard digging looks like, and they've got some hard digging here. That's for sure.
I believe it.
Not to mention very difficult layouts. They got to be engineers, I think, to lay out these jobs.
Well, and they got to dig their holes a bit deeper, don't they?
A lot of bit deeper. I mean, when he said 50 inches, I was like, oh, well, we're up north. That's okay. I've heard about guys doing this. But they are adamant. When I'm talking, they're hitting there was a hole they were 3 inches shy from depth, and it wasn't going anywhere. And they're on it for 30 minutes with the MT100. They weren't leaving that hole until it was full depth.
Yeah.
It's crazy how dedicated they are to getting that full 50 inches. Now, the post doesn't go 50. He's floating the post in concrete footer, but they are dedicated to hitting full depth. And I've seen guys across the country do far less.
Yeah.
They won't even hit 24, and if they hit a rock, they're like, 18's good.
Close enough.
Right. These guys are dedicated and passionate about quality install.
Yeah, and up there, frost heave is for real. Not that it's not for real in other places that have it, but Canada has real frost heave.
Yeah, it's real real frost heave. It's a whole significant set of different type of problems. So right off the bat, they have been dry packing for a while. I know the whole dry pack thing, but they have been. So if you think it through for a minute, if they're going to do that, that's a lot of concrete that they're moving. That's the first thing I thought of. Is, my gosh, 50 inches deep, 12 to 14 inch diameter holes. We're talking some bags. And I was quite surprised they didn't use bags of concrete. I was blown away. I didn't know that until we're ready to set posts, and where's the concrete? They bring it to the job site and trailer. They have found a way First I've ever seen this. They were very creative. They found a way to buy the stone and then like a compacted stone and then some rock and then cement. And they have their own formulation they've been working on for quite some time. The guy's name is Uncle that does the formulation. His name is Anthony. They call him Uncle. He's the only one that mixes. That's it. No one else allowed to touch it. Yeah, he's at exact ratios, and he puts it in a concrete mixer and mixes it up, puts it in a wheelbarrow, and the team takes it to the hole. Like, if you were to think of alternatively bags like we are used to, maybe
Yeah.
2 bags a hole. New York was using 3 bags a hole, 80 pounders.
Or
These
50.
guys are probably using 5 if they would do
Yeah.
it our way. So what a great way to adapt and figure out what works best for them.
Well,
It's
and
a
it
great
looks like
example.
we've got a video queued up that I think will illustrate that quite nicely. We'll do that here in just a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yes, we did take some
it's
video.
gonna be great. So Sean, let me ask: you've seen soil now. I mean, not only this year, but in your travels, you've been East Coast to West Coast, far north now to south. Where, if you were to wave a magic wand, where would Shawn King build fence?
Uh, Probably Florida.
That was kind of
Yeah,
my thought. That's kind of my
yeah,
thought.
yeah. Probably Florida. Indiana's not far behind that. I cannot complain about our soil. We have
Sure.
very good digging. Just pockets of rock, and I can't. I don't think I'll ever complain about it again after seeing some of the stuff these other guys got to deal with. My mind's going like the guys up here in Canada. My mind went straight to, there's no way I'd be doing this every day. Let's go with rock hammer, hydrovac, blast this thing out. But come on, you guys are working hard. Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be a better way to do this. But I don't. They're just gonna grind away. I don't. There's a phone ringing in here. Let's see. There we go. Here we go. Oh,
Sean's gonna start
uh,
doing some fence armor.
I'm gonna start answering fence armor phone calls. There
Yeah.
we go.
Buy low, sell
Um,
high.
so yeah, it's tough for these guys, and they just keep grinding. But my mind goes to, all right, we got to find a better way. And one thing I recommended to them was an excavator, because in my travels I've found that we have one, but guys that deal with this stuff, like let's say Utah, right? You got
Mm-hmm.
Josh Rand, you've
Yep.
got New York. I just left New York with Williams Fence. They send an excavator out every single time, every time. We went to 65 feet of wood fence, and they sent an excavator.
For 65 foot.
Yeah, and a Kubota 90 skid steer, both. I was quite surprised. I'm thinking to myself, we can dig this by hand. Mm-mm. Or the little
Huh.
beaver would do it. Mm-mm. No, little beaver's not digging through that, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's just what they're used to, Joe. That's what they're
Sure.
used to. They have a delivery system in house. They got semis, they got rollbacks, and it's every single day they're moving equipment to a job site. So
Huh.
the team is not taking it to them. The equipment's just sitting there on the ground when they roll up. They dig their holes,
Okay.
move the material, and then they come and get the equipment about lunchtime and move on to the next one. That's just how they do
Interesting.
it every single day,
Okay.
right? But
Okay.
it's what they're used to.
Right. Right. It's
Hmm.
interesting. One of the things I love to do, and I'm jealous of you that you get to do it, is when I travel, I like to visit fence companies just to see how they do stuff like that. Because, like you
Yep.
said, I would, if you would ask me, hey, what do you think about putting excavators on fence jobs? I'm like, well, we do mostly residential, and we do commercial, but on the residential, I don't think we would use an excavator. But then, kind of find out, totally normal. So now
I,
it's got my
I was
wheels
blown
turning.
away. They had they brought out, and one job they brought out, I don't know, maybe 20 mats, like big like protection
Yeah.
mats.
Yeah.
And then within seconds I was like, oh, this is gonna take forever to deploy those mats. My goodness. And I tell you what, I looked up and all 20 mats were laid out 2 foot apart because they just took the Kubota or the skid steer, put them on the forks, and drove straight ahead. And when the guy would just pull it off and drop, seconds down the neighbor's yard, which I
Huh.
was like perplexed with. I'm like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know that I would do this,
Got to
but
have friendly neighbors.
in and out in no time, it worked. So we're
Right.
definitely learning all kinds of tips and tricks that we're observing different ways that these fence companies, brothers and sisters, have dealt with their scenarios, their differences. In fact, logistically, right? So, and then one job, these guys were cutting every single picket 3 times. Like, that was at Williams Fence too. To get a good quality 1.25 inch thick picket is hemlock is the wood, and to support the local Amish who are milling this from trees, the boards are 12.6, 12.8, 12.2 long with a rough cut at either end. And so they square cut both ends, square cut the middle, make them 6 foot, put them on a chop saw, and dog ear every single picket on
No
the job site.
kidding. Honestly,
So
interesting.
I was blown away.
Yeah,
But
that's how they
but
figured out to make it work.
but they make it work, right? And they make it work well. And we brainstormed on how how can we make this better without
Yeah,
completely flipping the script and going to Home Depot and getting pickets.
yeah, yeah.
So we came up with some ideas. They have a 10-inch saw, so we cut the entire
Saw that.
bundle of pickets with the 10-inch saw and marked the whole layer out at the time. It was fairly quick, actually. And the dog area went quick. Actually, we were able to cut pickets just about as fast as the guy was running pickets. So I
Nice.
was quite impressed with that. But that's the cool thing about traveling and putting myself in all these different spots. We can talk about it on Facebook forums, and
Sure.
we can see pictures of it. You don't really get it until you're right there and you see everything. You see the trucks that they're driving and how they deploy their team members and schedule their jobs and talk to their homeowners.
Yeah.
Um, I'm learning a lot, and I get to see it a lot by traveling. Very blessed with that.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. That's my favorite thing is when I'm traveling is to visit fence folks and just see kind
Hmm.
of how they do it, how they have lots laid out, how their operation runs. Because, well, and it's kind of like what we're doing with the social media channels, right? We're just kind of sharing our way so that maybe somebody else watches that, can implement it somehow into their operation. But just as much, I'm out visiting others just to see is there anything we can bring back, sort of thing.
Yep, 100%.
Love it. Let's say hi to a few folks. Speaking of Josh Rand, woo! Let's
There he
go.
is. There he
Next,
is.
buddy, real quick.
What you got
Okay.
there?
I don't know if this will show up in video.
Ah, Aloha Fence Orange.
Yeah, Josh had a
Oh,
hat made,
wow.
sent over. Josh,
Oh
thank
my
you. I
goodness. I
appreciate it.
love it.
Well,
I
this
love
hat
it.
is going to make an appearance in one of the weekly shows, weekly week in the live shows. What are we 2 weeks behind or so? So here in a couple weeks, that hat will make an appearance. So, Josh, thank you for the hat. Roger Bencourt's here. Hey, Joe, Sean, the rest of the Fence fam. Don't forget to hit the appropriate affirmations. I love it. That's so true. And I like how he put examples in there. He's like, okay, such as the thumbs up,
Thumbs up.
the heart,
The heart.
because so social media, so Facebook specifically has gotten a little. So they realize everyone's hitting the like button, and it's super easy. You just scroll, hit, scroll, hit. So now what they're saying is that the algorithm gives no credence to the like button anymore. You got to hold the like button down and then hit one of the affirmations. That's how they know that it's
Oh my
actually like
goodness.
quality content. Because I tell you what did it, Sean, is bots. Because
Mm-hmm.
someone created bots out there that will just go scroll. So you can buy likes, sort of thing. So they have these bots that scroll all your content, like it all. So anyway, bots are killing everything.
Dang
So
it.
so give it like a thumbs up or a heart or something like that. Or you could give it the mad face. I don't care. It's any interaction is good interaction. That's why I don't particularly get upset with haters on YouTube. Like, hey, comment's
Yeah.
a comment. Welcome to the club. Devin says, been excited for this all week. Two of the best in the biz. Don't catch these lives very often, but knew I needed to tune in on this one.
Thank you, Devin.
Devin, I tell you what, appreciate that. Project Metal Music is a viewer from over in the UK. Good afternoon, Project Metal Music. And he says, hey, Sean, as well. Wants to make
Thank
sure
you.
you did not feel left out.
Thank you.
CNS Vinyl, gentlemen, how is it? They're from Florida. If I remember right, Central Florida, I think. I get all these folks confused, but they're sending us good
It's
vibes,
hard.
Sean.
Yep.
Nathan Downs says, good morning from Oklahoma. Ready to see some orange power this morning. Uh-oh.
You got a little bit of blue power mixed in now.
Devin says, checking in from Arizona. Devin, welcome. Appreciate it. Todd's watching from Denver, Colorado. Love it. I love Denver. The Denver area, or well, that part of Colorado, really.
It's
like down
beautiful, but I don't think I'd want to dig there.
No. That's a place you visit. That's a place you visit. You go down to Garden of the Gods, and then maybe up in the mountains. And no, you don't.
Right.
You don't dig fence holes there.
Not very well.
No, thank you. But they do. Kasurk says, hey guys, Chris from Kasurk Distributors watching
What's up,
while working
Chris?
here in Philly.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Chris. Michael Greenfield, I almost just said, I'm not going to say what I almost just said because I almost played favorites with the good folks over at Nationwide. I was going to say, okay, Sean, I'll tell you, but just don't tell anybody else.
Okay.
I was going to say Michael is my favorite Nationwide person, but I don't.
Oh,
Don't tell anybody else that because then they'll
that's
see it
funny.
in the office. And
Michael is my favorite Nationwide representative, but not
he's
that
a
Michael.
solid guy.
But not that Michael. Mine's Michael Falconer.
Oh, so now we have a battle of Michaels. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I should have been. Okay. Michael says, hello from St. Louis, Missouri. Good morning, Joe.
What's up?
Michael, good morning. And actually, Michael, I've got a purchase order for you that I was supposed to get to you yesterday that it will be coming to you this afternoon. Zach Payton, what's up, fellas?
Oh, there he is.
Good morning, Zach. Good to see you. Joe Rivers is with us. Hello, fellas. Fellow Joe from Straight Arrow in Florida. Florida is showing up today. Florida is showing up. Al Martins, he's probably across the hall from you right now.
He is.
When you lose your tape in the hole, you need a magnet to get it out.
We did drop a tape in a hole.
With 50 inches, you can't just reach down and go grab that thing, huh?
It's a whole different world, man.
Just a different set of complications all around, I'd have to think.
Yeah.
It's a whole different
world.
Wild. Robin says we put 9 in a hole in Northwest Missouri last week. We put 9 in a hole. 9 bags. 9 bags.
Robin,
that's what my mind is trying to comprehend here. 9 bags in a hole.
That's not a hole. That's a crater.
You're filling craters up there in Northwest. I mean, Robin, I'm glad to see you here, fellow Missourian and all, but
yeah,
what are you doing? What are you doing? 9 bags in a hole.
I think they're bags. Yeah.
Could be. Brent Mitch says, hello, Joe. So California is now represented. Brent, good morning. Brent's one of these guys, Sean, that I live vicariously through his social media feeds. So he's a scuba diver and he goes spear fishing and he puts it on YouTube and such.
Oh.
Anyway, you should check him out. Dan Wheeler, you know this guy.
I know Dan Wheeler. We antagonize each other all the time.
I like. So Dan Wheeler's got the Fence Industry podcast, and I like listening to it just because he gives everyone a hard time. Like he doesn't discriminate. He gives everyone a hard time equally.
Yeah.
So good morning, Dan. John Walker says, have you seen the Taj Mahal in real life? I have not, but I have heard it is impressive. Al says he is right across the hall. Very good. Very good. Keeping it locked down. Todd M says, I wouldn't want to dig here in Colorado either with all the bentonite and rocks.
Yep.
We're going to have to figure out a way to build a fence without digging the holes. And the first person that figures that out,
and I've been dreaming about that
all
for
the money.
Years.
Like just like some sort of adhesive and just done.
Well, we need posts that react to the magnetic field of the Earth, and it gets held down by that. It's called gravity, but
yeah, you need a gravity enhancer.
Yeah, there you go.
Like I like to read in fiction books and watching like fictional movies, and you just need like some sort of paste that then like magnifies the.
Is Elon Musk watching right now? We can ask him to help us figure this out.
Yeah, hey Elon, I know you're up to big stuff on like going to Mars and things, but could you help those of us here on Earth out? We need you to sort through this. Stevie Boy Billings, good morning, Joe, or good afternoon, Joe. Good afternoon, still. My mouth is not working. Good morning or good afternoon, Stevie Boy Billings. There you go. Bo Butler, speaking of folks from Denver, morning from Denver. Sean, the dig is not too bad, but there are definitely cities we chose not to work in.
Good.
Yeah. Yep. It's probably like anywhere where now. So we're
not
thinking
like
mountains.
Yeah.
We're thinking
some
mountains.
Areas. But, like in Utah with Josh Rand, there's areas there that it's really called pay dirt, super easy digging. Victor Vasquez got some areas where it's easy digging. But he also has areas that are horrific, right? So,
yeah. See if you could Sean, if you'd figure out the tool that does the electromagnetic. Roger agrees with you on that. Sean's correct. It would have to be something electromagnetic. So if Mr. Fence Tools could just like jump right onto that, and
I'll get
then
right
that would
on
solve
it.
the problem no matter what.
Yeah.
John Walker says, "Is Great Wall of China really visible from space?"
What?
Yeah. These are some big questions, John. These are some big questions. We're asking. We like talking about fence here, but
Yeah, that is fence.
now, Sean, here's
Kind
one
of.
thing we got to watch out for. And I'm not saying John's doing this, but you got to watch. Can you see the comments like before I? You can see them, right?
I can't see him, no.
You cannot see them. Okay. Well, I will watch them. Well, and Braden watches them as well because sometimes these questions start off kind of off the wall and then they go to weird places. So
Okay. Okay.
we're gonna keep an eye on that one. We're gonna keep an eye on. Someone, I don't know, it's been a month or so ago, tried to get me to say something that was not becoming of a fence professional.
There you go. Kudos.
So, all right. So let's get back to this mixing concrete business.
Oh, geez.
Drive pack
Here we
mixing.
go.
Because, so I hear that like creating conflict is good for these kinds of shows because then you like polarize the audience or something.
I can see Dan Wheeler's blood pressure raising right now.
Well, get ready because we've got a video queued up and ready to go.
Oh, boy. And I think he's already seen this. I purposely tagged Dan in this just to get a reaction.
Good. So this isn't new. Let's. All right. So this is kind of briefly showing. Yeah, they just take.
That's Uncle putting his mixture in.
Nice.
No water.
Interesting.
Cement.
So they just pull up. They pull up to the aggregate place, and they just pour in the different component parts.
That's it.
Interesting.
Cement and the mixer. In the bag.
He's probably done it long enough to where he can look in there and just say,
"Oh man, he's got down to a science exactly how big the shovelfuls are and how many put." It's crazy, but that's what his job is every day. But in all my years, I've never ever thought of this.
No, mixing it dry in a
never.
It's one of those things. I did one of these. I did a TikTok a little while ago, just showing a different way to put the handle on a wood gate latch. And I was like, this is one of those things. It's the same in that once you see it, you say, "Aha, of course, yeah, that's exactly the way. Yeah, that makes sense."
Yeah, I don't know. If for them it's working fantastic. I put this video out there, and some people are like, "Why would you do that?" Well, you don't understand it because you're not dealing with the same circumstances they are,
right?
And have the same goals that they want. I don't do it either, but I see value in how creativity they were, and it works very well. I'm watching it happen. I'm watching the posts are extremely solid, and it's not Uncle's not working hard at all. Like it's easy. So I was impressed. Ingenuity.
Dry packing like shell rice. Custom blended dry pack for maximum compression. Nice job, Uncle.
I love it.
There's Uncle. He's a good guy.
So much.
Yeah.
Well, and so one thing they've taken. So we used to. All right. Wet set, but with one of those mixers, but we would same kind of thing. We had a 2-ton or a 5, whatever we had a big truck, and it had a mixer built into the back of it where you would just scoop in. But the problem is we had 3 of these trucks, and so you had 3 different guys, and they were all you never knew.
Yeah.
You know, is the shovel full of full shovel or a regular shovel, or is the shovel a little light, or
I get it.
We went to pre-bag.
You know, the main reason cost was one reason why they did it. Cost was huge. The other reason I did it was because locally, well, it's not just here, but oftentimes the bad concrete you buy has pea gravel or small gravel, a lot of powder. It's very inconsistent. The bags themselves are consistent. Like Uncle's doing a better job of mixing than buying the pre-mixed bags.
Sure.
of getting good consistent with the rock and the jagged rock. And then they're getting the bigger rock. See, we have our concrete made for us, very similar to what Uncle's making, and it's bagged. But as I travel around the country and look at what other people are dealing with, they're dry packing with powder sometimes. Well, that's very difficult to do. It just doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
So you got to have the jagged rock to get
The
that good
irregular
compaction.
rock, and that was the interesting part. So when I first started following you, that was kind of this thing that stuck into my mind is the irregular
Yep.
rock. So like,
Yep.
I wonder
key.
if it's just it leads to better compaction.
Yep.
Just because it doesn't have smooth edges.
That's right.
It's crazy.
Or too much powder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Because powder's not going to compress. It will
No.
compress, but
Not very well.
not very well. All right. So Josh says, speaking of Victor Vasquez, he's on an Aloha fence job right now, helping us out with our 4-month lead time. This
Awesome.
job
I love that partnership.
I do too. That's the thing is like these guys could easily see themselves as competitors, right? And not be interested in helping each other out, but instead they're both winning in this scenario.
Yep.
Pay dirt for him, and he's still likely going to find a way to roast me today. Good.
Right.
Good. At least you know it's coming. At least you know it's coming. Todd says, Shawn, in your travels, was it mostly residential, commercial, or agricultural? If all three, which did you learn the most about?
Definitely mainly residential. That's where I live in that world. So I'll be the first to admit I have little experience with the commercial world and definitely even less experience with the ag world. I do get to experience some of that, but I live and breathe and play in the residential world, backyards.
Very good. The ag world is fence, but it is a wild world of fence.
It's a whole nother ball game.
They measure their fence projects in like quarter, half, full mile increments.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I did a quarter mile today.
And these commercial guys like Williams Fence, I mean, that's what they're doing. Miles of that stuff. They quantify it in solar farms and all this stuff that's huge.
Yeah.
Huge quantities these guys are putting in. So
Wild. We all have a thing or two to learn about fence.
Mm-hmm.
Josh says the rising tide raises all the ships. Absolutely. He's helping us by helping him. That's a win-win. Everybody works together out there. I love it. Well, and John's getting ready to argue with you and tell you it's a win-win-win because the customer also wins in this scenario.
That's right. That's a three. We call that a threefer.
A threefer. Okay, I love it. Okay, Dan's saying it's a lot like pancake mix, just add water.
Yeah, and I tell Dan all the time, if he has to water down his food and his drinks so he can take them, then you add all the water you want, Dan.
And now I found myself in the middle of this. Good. Al said it works out to be $4 saving per bag.
It's huge. Their bags here are pretty expensive.
I was going to say, well, that's odd because bags here are like right around the $4 mark.
No, they're actually it's costing, I think, about $1 to create with the equivalency of a bag, right? And their bags of concrete here are $5.
No kidding.
If I understood the math right from Adrian, I believe that was the case, and I was like, wow.
Well, so that's obviously one of the main things, and they can control the consistency. That's the thing.
That too. He also said with his team, they talked about it, and his team members would rather put in the extra work and take home the extra money than get paid less but buy the concrete. It was a group decision. They all agreed they would rather put the money in their own pocket and move the material in a wheelbarrow, which really I really didn't see much extra work. The shoveling from the trailer to the mixer was simple, and then the mixer in the wheelbarrow, you're pushing the wheelbarrow to the hole. Like it wasn't a massive amount of extra work over carrying bags. It might have been totally different than having a wet mix truck out there. Would have been easier potentially, but these yards that they're dealing with are small, like 20 feet by 40 feet by 20 feet. Like you're not, and then it's yard after yard after yard after yard. You're not getting any big piece of equipment in there to move around that concrete. So the wheelbarrow works out quite well.
Good to know. Everyone does a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Roger says, I watched a crew in Charlotte pour sand, stone, and cement in a pile and use a rototiller to create a sidewalk. Interesting. There's always more than one way.
Mind blown.
I would have liked to see that.
Yeah.
sandstone cement, and then use a rototiller. There you go. A&M says, "What's up, guys? Best advice for someone before they start up a fencing business." Shawn, what would you think?
Well, we get asked this question often. At times, it seems like on these shows, and I believe the best advice is to find a partner, a mentor, a friend that's in the business that you can trust, and that's like step one.
Yeah, in or around the market that you're wanting to be in, because
Yep.
markets are going to be different, but also understand that business to business is going to be different. Shawn and I have had this conversation on this show several times where we said, if we waved a magic wand and we were both in the same market, same exact company, same amount of team members, same, we would still be different. We'd have
For
different
sure.
goals and different personalities and different.
And we would be by design. That's what creates the competition, and then it creates the I tell my friends in the industry all the time, the number one goal here is just be different than their competition. Give the homeowners a choice. If we're all exactly the same, then we're just going down a mundane road. Pretty boring path.
So, because people naturally want choices.
That's right.
They want. One of the things I'm speaking on at the moment is that you have to give people want to make their own decisions. They don't want to be sold, right? They want to make an educated buying decision. But it's the same for people want to make their own choices. There's a general feeling that maybe people have been misled in the past, or people don't want to be taken advantage of. So they want to make their own choices for their own specific situation. Now, I think all of the fence professionals that are watching understand. So, because a customer will come to you, Shawn, and they'll say, "Well, you couldn't possibly know my project because my project is very unique and it's very different. It's different than anything you've ever seen." And you're like, "Well, you don't say it." You're like, "Okay, but I've seen a lot of weird stuff, and you've got a pool, very strange. Oh, a shed, no kidding. Okay, you're right, totally unique into anything I've ever seen." But anyway, there's some commonalities there too. But I don't know where I was going with that. But to say, I don't know. I like your advice, Shawn, in that
be different.
Be different. Oh, that's where I was going with that.
I want you to be different. We really want to be different so that we're not absolutely beating each other over the head, fighting for the same exact spot in the market. There's different clients, there's different resources, there's different types of projects. Some are going to have overlap, we're going to have competitors, but everyone should be just a little bit uniquely different, and that's going to help differentiate yourself.
Here's a sales thought for you too, in the vein that people like to make choices. So people typically like 3 choices. Less, and they'll go find more choices, more, and they'll generally get confused. So think you walk in, Cheesecake Factory. You walk into Cheesecake Factory, and they hand you a book that is called a menu, and you have to go through this whole thing looking at it.
Too much. Less is more.
I know it's right near the middle. Flip, find that page, and then that's the page I look at. I don't want to see the rest of it. And sales is much the same. People don't want too many choices. They want 3 choices. So what we like to do is give a good, better, best. Now, that's not what we call it, but that's the general idea. Here is and we start at the top. Here is the best. Here is the gold standard of fencing. Now, if you're looking for a little bit of savings, we can change the materials around and end up here. If you're looking for maximum savings, we can downgrade the materials a little bit more. 3 choices. And so now they don't go looking. So what a lot of fence contractors will do is they'll say, "Here's my number. Here is your choice. Here's your one option." Then they go, really need to get 3. Really need to have 3 options. So then what do?
They go to the competitor.
Yep. More people. And they'll say, "Okay, so now I'm going to get my 3 choices. I'm going to choose which one's best for me." Or you give them 3 choices and they go, "Okay, well, out of these 3 choices, that's the one I want." Bingo. Moving forward.
Boom.
So, gold nugget for you on that. Always give 3 choices, create 3 choices, right? And they need to be legitimate. They need to have legitimate value. So, there's some sales coaches out there that'll say, throw a wild number, a crazy number up at the top, because no one will choose it. But that will make your other one seem more like a value. Which, not a fan of that. You need to base it in reality, right?
Yeah.
So, in my example, ours would be pre-stained cedar materials installed on Postmaster steel post. That's our, in residential, that's really top of the line wood. Now we can also do wood post, and we can also do this or that, but more often than not, we see them choose, well, it probably depends on the economy at the moment, but we see them choose a chop option because they see it and they go, oh, I didn't realize it was that affordable to have the fence in my neighborhood. But sometimes they go with the middle or the low option. But anyway, so Kyle says, I'm not saying that. Morning fence fam.
Yeah.
There we go. Morning fence fam. Seth says, Joe's what got me into the fence business just because of how digestible his content is. Thank you. I appreciate that. Then to Mr. Fence. His work ethic is similar to nobody's. This is true. His mentality is something to envy. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
I agree. And here's the thing. If you have only experienced Shawn on video, you need to experience him in person because
that's what they just said yesterday at our round robin. Our final discussion was these guys have followed me for years on video, never met me. And they're telling me it's extremely different in person.
It is.
I'm like, why? There's no different. I'm still the same person. I'm like, no.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying you act differently in person. It's just the amount of energy.
Yeah.
Like you can't get the proper understanding of the energy through video. You just can't. Yeah. You have to be there in person. Where were we? We were in Virginia. And I was like, I go, you know what this is? This is the Shawn show. Like we get to sit and be an audience at the Shawn show. And someone took that differently. They're like, well, he means what? I'm like, no. No, I mean that
that's why
completely positively. Like, but we get to sit and experience the Shawn show. Like,
the passion comes out.
I've never been a contestant on like The Price is Right when everyone's like screaming and doing all that, but I've got to think it's pretty close. A&M wants to know, do you take a deposit before starting a job? Is it reasonable to do it when first starting out since I'm a little low on funds? Have you ever not gotten paid for a job? Shawn, what do you think? I'll let you start off, and then I'll just kind of round it out.
It's pretty simple. Absolutely take a deposit. We require 50%. I believe it's reasonable, even if you're starting out. And yes, I have not gotten paid for a job. It has happened. I've been doing this for 34 years, right? So, but the thing that I will back up the deposit. Some guys don't, some guys do. If the consumer doesn't trust me with 50% deposit, the FBI calls that a clue. Probably shouldn't trust them. It's a two-way street. So,
Yep, absolutely. So there's one caveat on this deposit thing, and that's check your state's regulations. California has some different stipulations on what you can and cannot take as deposit. But and so we're the same way. I completely agree. We take a deposit, it's 50%, and needing money is not part of that equation. Like it's not part of that conversation. It's to your point, it's a trust thing, right?
Yep.
Is you're going to give us the money. Now, when it's done, we're going to apply it to the invoice. You're going to see it reflected and all that. So there's in other industries they do it differently, right? Like they might have like a holding account or something like that, to where they'll show, hey, I'm not actually taking this money until it's due to me and all this and stuff. But you being low on funds has nothing to do with the deposit scenario. It is this customer has good faith. You're going to come install the fence and do a good job at it, right? So here's where the deposits go wrong, and that is when you have to take deposits because to cover cash flow on other projects, right? Like that's always where they go wrong. Is contractors will get low on funds, they'll misbid a job, and so then they'll need to take a deposit on another job to finish up the first job, and that's where you get really sideways. And that's why customers are leery to give deposits, because they hear about this stuff on the news and Better Business Bureau and Angie's List and all the rest of it. So what they're doing is they're trying to show value by passing out these horror stories that could happen. So if you use them and their people, then they'll help you avoid that. They're actually doing more damage, I think, than good. But take a deposit, 50% if it's allowed in your state. But but be smart with that, right? Like that is half the cost of the fence. Use it to buy materials. Material that should cover all materials and part of your labor. Kyle says, "Good morning, fence fam." Misspelled. Yep, got it. We caught that. I didn't say
We
the other.
got it.
The fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seth says, currently struggling to get my business off the ground just due to not having the startup funds, having a hard time finding the right person. Lost Shawn. Yep, there he is. Having a hard time finding the right person. Do you have any traits you look for in a business partner? Well, there are fence companies that have business partners. I'm totally sure. But I would almost suggest you really want to do it yourself, Seth. I've seen business partnerships work. Oh, there he is.
Somebody was calling my phone, so.
But so Shawn, Seth's question is basically bringing on a business partner because they don't have the startup funds. What's your opinion on that?
How many traits you look for? So I've had partners, family, friends, and no partners. And I've learned, I would not say don't do business with partners, but if that's your first business,
Yeah.
I would caution you.
Yeah.
I think you need some business experience first before you partner up. It's just my experience.
Yeah.
I've had some partnerships that didn't go well. If you do have a partnership, I would start with the end in mind. What's the exit plan? How does the exit plan look if we were to separate tomorrow or 15 years from now? Exit plan first. But the question is having startup funds, so have a partner to help fund it. I mean, as long as you guys both know that that's the reason for the partnership and that he's bringing the funds to the table and you're doing the work, you can't in 2 years from now be like, well, he doesn't do anything.
Right.
What was the agreement, right?
That's the deal.
So, what was the deal? So understand the deal, and you can't go back on that.
That's Seth, I would encourage you to go it on your own for a while, even if it means not scaling quickly or growing as fast as you think you should grow, because you need to have an expectation of what that's going to look like. What is the company going to look like? How do you want it to operate and grow? Going into it without knowing of that and taking on a partner, it could lead to disaster without that being the intention, right? So frustration is a result of unmet expectations. So
I like that.
So in this scenario, you don't have any expectations. What could it be? Now you have some hopes and dreams, obviously. That's why you're doing it. But you don't have correctly set expectations just because you haven't done it before. If you ask me, like, what are the correct expectations for running a roofing business? No idea. How much revenue should we do this year? As much as we make, I guess. I don't know. But if I was 10 years, 20 years into a roofing business, I would know here's about what, based on the team we have and the market we're in, we should expect to do roughly this, right? Seth, my advice would be to do it for a while on your own before going and seeking a business partner. If nothing else, that way you understand what the expectations are. The correct expectations should be. So, I don't have any business partners in the fence company, but I do have a business partner in some real estate, single family home rental real estate. But we both went into it knowing exactly what we do, right? We knew what the expectations were. We knew, to the point, like, all right, here's how this business is going to run as far as operations, as far as end in mind. So we actually started out as a 3-person partnership, but we started off at the lawyer's office saying we want all this drawn out, we want all these stipulations. What happens when someone no longer wants to participate, or what happens
to them?
Well, what happens if we no longer want to participate with them? What do we do? And luckily, all that was spelled out beforehand because it got to that point, and so we just followed what the contract said we would do, what the agreement said we would do, and then moved forward. And now we are a 2-person partnership. But I would say go it on your own, though, Seth, before taking on business. Business partner adds a whole nother layer of complexity to the whole arrangement. A&M, hardest part of building a fence.
Digging the holes. Digging the holes. Pounding the post. Whatever you want to call it. I call it dealing with the demons in the ground is what I call it.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it absolutely agree. But it's funny because you always get these questions. Well, could you guys just set the post? Could you guys just dig and set, and then I do the rest? Well,
Yeah.
I could, but that's like 80% of the labor costs.
Right.
So you wouldn't actually end up. So you think you're going to save money, but you might
Not
as well
so
pay us
much.
to put the rest of it up at that point.
Yeah.
No, digging the hole, just getting the post in the ground, whether you're digging or driving, or not the point. Getting the post in the ground until Shawn comes up with this gravity electromagnetic.
Yeah.
So you need to figure that out. You need to put a science lab in the motorhome.
Oh.
Or where were you going to put it? Wherever you want to put it.
I thought you were going to say at an event, but I have a competition for a science lab, but in Bentley. Yeah, I don't know.
So you get.
I'm already towing.
I know you're already towing a trailer, so you just need to get like a bigger trailer. Have like a mobile lab.
No.
I'm great at coming up with things for other people to do.
Yeah.
Todd says I'm a DIYer, and props to Joe on the fence reveal as I did a 50-foot run at my house with too much reveal and the pickets twisted. Lessons learned in the next 50-foot run with less reveal and no twisting. Perfect.
Yep. And there's a stagger your nail pattern will help with that some too. So decrease your reveal and then spread your nails apart also will help decrease the warping above rather than nail in straight line.
So this is an interesting conversation in that because I've watched your videos on the staggering of the nails, and I was like, let me figure this out. Like anytime I see one of these, I'm like, there's something here, right? Like there's obviously a lot of thought behind it.
Right.
There's something there. And then the more like you dig into that, like again, one of those things, as soon as you see it and hear it explained, you're like, yeah, no, of course, that's the way I should have known that. But yeah, the reveal does have quite a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn, you guys are at like a 7-inch reveal, is that right?
We're at a 7 only because mathematically that's where you have to be to hit the minimum ASTM standard with the 6-foot board 1 inch off the ground. But I also see a 6 and a 5 and floating the post an inch or 2 in concrete. I think it's the same.
Yeah.
At some point you're gonna get a law of diminishing returns. At some point you're gonna float the post too high. I don't technically know where that is, but yeah, we run a 7 for that reason. And then stagger. So if you run a 7 with a staggered nail pattern, it's equivalent to a 6. If you were to measure from the nail to the top of the board, from someone that ran a 6, or someone that ran a 7 with a staggered, your unsupported picket, which is the part from the nail up, it's really not from the top of the 2x4. Mm-hmm. The unsupported part of the picket is the same as someone running a 6.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Got it. I like it.
That's
so we're going to relook at ours because we're running a 6-inch reveal. But we're going to have to reevaluate because here's the thing, guys, is you're going to hear that go, well, what's the difference between 6 and 7 inches? About an inch, but
not an inch.
But I mean, what was it? I was watching I get all my good stuff from TikTok anymore. So I was watching a TikTok, and this guy's point was, if you obsess with the little things, if you get really obsessed with you doing the little things right and getting them really, really right, then the big things are automatically right.
Yep.
But if you let the little things slide, this guy is a retail, like this guy has a retail, he's got a series of retail shops, and his point is wiping the baseboards. Seems like a little thing, right? Who looks at baseboards? Well, but it's not just the baseboards, right? If you're losing focus on baseboards, you're probably also losing sight of the light switch covers. You're losing sight on this and that, and then next thing you know, the customer experience isn't that great. Take a trip to Disney and tell me if they focus on the little things or the big things. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. Waiting in line on these rides, they have Mickey Mouse heads that are smaller than comprehension, right? They focus on minute details.
Yep.
So, anyway, thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. Guys, if you've got any fence questions, ask them. We're also going to talk about here in a little bit. We're going to talk about Shawn's made an announcement, but we're going to make an announcement here too.
Yeah, let's bring because my better half is going to be pushing me to go shopping here in
Okay,
Toronto here
let's
shortly.
do it.
So
Mike,
we got
Mike
it.
says greetings, everyone. Mike.
That's my rep. That's my mic.
Oh, okay. That's the for the intents and purposes of this broadcast. I'm gonna refer to him as the other Mike.
That's my mic. You be the other mic. Yeah, I
But
love it. I love it.
both Mikes are good people, but
Yep.
I do like mine better. So anyway,
Yep.
all right, Shawn. Let's talk about it.
Say it. Just say it.
Let's talk about some fence games. Let's talk about some fence games.
What is going on? Let's have that conversation about fence games.
First and
It is
foremost, completely stoked about this.
that. Thank
We've
God.
we've had a couple conversations about it, and I've seen your conversations that you're having elsewhere, like in the Facebook groups and all.
hmm hmm
This is turning into something.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement. I mean, I'm getting messages daily of people excited, and as I've been traveling and doing this coaching and training piece, and I'm arriving at these companies, these guys recognize me in the field, and they're like excited to be in the fence games. Oh, I'm gonna win, and I'm the best there is. You know, they're so excited. I'm like, oh, I've seen a thing or two. You
Yeah,
might win here.
right.
Right.
Fair.
So, but the excitement's fantastic, and that's what we need in our industry. We've got to pull ourselves together. Yeah, me and Dan Wheeler picking each other, and VV Fence and Josh are all fighting each other, and but in good fun.
Yeah,
So I think that this is going to help connect all of our organizations, our associations, our East Coast, West Coast, North, South. If you're orange, if you're blue, if you're red, we're going to have some type of common denominator here. I'm excited for it. I'm pumped to get back and get to cranking on this because on the road, I announced this and I've been on the road the whole time, right? So I've literally been digging holes and driving Bentley every single day. So we're heading back. So I'm excited to get my boots back on the ground and get logistics kind of going on this. But here's what we do know right now is that currently the first Fence Games event at the moment is going to be at the AFA event in Oklahoma, um, 2023. Fence Show is also going to host Fence Games in Nevada for our West Coast people. So that's going to be in August. Brian's doing a fantastic job out there. He's super stoked. Both associations have created a large area on the show floor for us to do these games. So make sure everybody's on the same page here. We're not talking about sending a crew and a truck to go build fence around a backyard. We're talking about breaking down the skill sets needed for a fence professional to build fence in small segments. Like I envision these events being 30 seconds to 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long, type of thing that you can fly across the country and compete in, rather than you're going to spend 6 hours building an entire fence around a yard. Because logistically, I can't even imagine. That would be fun, but I don't even know how you'd have to have like a subdivision, all identical fences. I don't know.
Well, and you would still have differing conditions.
You would have different
In the
conditions,
same neighborhood.
and then this logistics. Like, no one's going to be able to drive their work truck across the country to do this, right? So we fully are aware that I don't see anyone driving their truck from Nevada to Indiana to compete. Right? That's not what we're thinking. We're going to try to do these events, these Fence Games events, multiple of them around the country, and correlate with other events. So you might already be going anyways. Bring your best installer with you and put him in the games and let him compete. And he doesn't have to bring his equipment. We have several vendors already, several sponsors already that see the value in this. And so as we create an event, if it's chain link wire tying, which is definitely an event we're going to have, let's have some chain link pliers out there, multiple different types and styles. Yeah, you can bring your own, but we would like to have an assortment there for everybody to use, and get their hands on it and try something new. You don't know what you don't know until you learn what you didn't know. And there might be, like I said, like a three-handled pair of pliers out there I've never seen. I don't know. These guys will show up with that, or post hole diggers, right?
Yep.
I know that we're definitely going to be digging some dirt. I know that's a thing that we definitely want to dig some dirt. And how do we do that on a show floor? We're envisioning a steel container, almost like a small dumpster type thing, 3 foot deep and full of the dirt that's from the local source there. So it'll be different in Nevada as it is from Oklahoma and Florida. And you'll have different types of dirt, but you're competing against those people at that event, not competing against people across the country. So you're dealing with the same dirt together that day. We're digging holes, we're filling them back in, packing them back in, digging holes again. and they'll all be hand dug. We're looking for AS team. We'll probably have an AS team standard they got to hit. And to make it even more interesting, we're talking about having the event of digging a hole timed also, but also for accuracy, right? So when you say the hole's done, if you own the hole, when you own the hole and it's done, does the cylinder fit in the hole to the right depth in the right spot? Period. If it doesn't, the clock is still running and there's a penalty for testing it, right? So we would love for you to find some ninjas that can look at the hole and by eye and say that's exactly the right depth and exactly the right spot. And there's guys that can do that out there. I
Oh yeah.
promise. I've seen them.
Oh, yeah.
And then that should inspire others because I mean, as I travel and help others, I find that the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing you can do to improve efficiency is get the hole in the right spot, the right place, at the right depth. Oftentimes we miss that mark, and so when you miss that mark, you're doing a couple of different things. You're either cutting the post off, you're pulling the post up, you're pulling the post back out of the ground, you're cutting it back over. There's all this sort of stuff that just takes time and energy. If we just get it right the first time, you're going to see a tremendous savings in time and effort. But yeah, there's the fence games. Scoring for the fence games is going to be interesting. The concept is we don't want to find just the fastest hole digger in the country. We don't want to find. We're looking for people. We'll put them in categories. So at every event, we're looking at if we have enough participation. Again, if I only have 4 people, this ain't going to work. But if we have enough participation, which sounds like it will, we're going to break the times for the day for every event into 100%. The top 25% will be Division One. That's it. So if you're in the top 25%, you're competing for first place in Division One. If your time is quantified as the next set of 25% times, you're competing for first place in Division Two, and then 50% for Division Three and 75% for Division Four. Now, what that allows us to do is guys with a lot of experience are going to be at a whole different level. They compete against each other, and you're put in that category based on your time. You don't walk up and say, "I'm a D1 guy." You might think you're a D1 guy, but today you might be a D3 guy. And you're competing against those guys. So in other words, we're able to give awards and prizes to 4 different segments. And I learned this from barrel racing. Our daughter races barrels, and this is how they do it. At first, it was very complicated. I didn't understand it. But they get massive participation because the people that are not good enough to even compete for the top are still competing for the D2, D3, D4, and they're excited and they're interested and they're learning and they're watching. That's what we need to do to keep our group excited and involved. If we just had some all-stars that win everything, well, pretty soon the other guys aren't going to try.
Yeah, right. Well, and you could, man, you got so much possibility with this, right? So we used to show when I was a kid, and my sister still does. We used to show raving horses, and they would have different divisions, right? Or different. They would have, whatever, like halter, and they would have dressage, and they would have English, and all on and on. But they'd also have best in show.
Yeah.
So you could get champion of this, champion of that, and still not place in best of show, right? So be interesting to see. So you could be top flight Division One. You could win Division One at hole digging.
Yeah, that's right.
But not place very well in wire ties.
That's right.
And then place 3rd overall.
Yep. So it's not going to be a one for all. Like if you got a guy that just wants to compete for hole digging, he can compete for hole digging. Doesn't have to do every single event.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to have multiple events there. We'd like to have an event that represents the industry. Like we want to have some commercial wire fence. We want to have some ag fence. I need some help from the ag guys. How do we have an event that is 1 minute to 5 minutes long that's repeatable for us to reset? Like those are things you got to think about, right? How do we reset that for the next person? So Ryan Sloop, I've reached out to him, I know, but there's a lot of that guys out there. If you have an idea, throw it our way that would represent your industry and teach us how to facilitate that event or even participate and help do the event. Where you got several people have already reached out that they want to help facilitate and run the event. They don't want to compete. They just want to be there and logistically be behind the scenes to make sure this happens.
Well, let me ask you: is there going to be like an ESPN style commentators booth? Because
yes,
I'm in on that.
Yes,
I am in on that.
Oh, good deal. So I had reached
that like the one you're wearing because whoop.
we're going to need that. We're going to need the commentators to keep people interested. I mean, Brian and I talked about the fence show. He wants to put TVs all over the event and even allow exhibitors to have the TV in their booth that's a live feed to what's going on at the. So at any one time, somebody could have just broke the record on wire tying, and you would have been on the other side of the show floor, but you just got to see it go down. Genius idea, right? But a little bit of commentator on that. Cannon Johnson, I reached out to him as well. Like, hey, bud, I'm going to need your commentators on some of this stuff. And Joe, I think it would be phenomenal to have you help as well.
Yeah, of course.
I
I'm
mean,
just
if we
thinking
just
like
get people
football
pumped
games,
up.
you've got like guys up in the booth, you got guys on the field, you got all right, let's throw it down to so and so that's on the field at the wire tying. Like,
right.
what,
Exactly.
what are you seeing down there?
Exactly. What my biggest concern right now is getting guys to step up to the plate and compete in front of their peers. Right? We're a tough industry. We are very hard on each other. We wear our pride on our shoulders quite proudly and to a fault. And so what happens is we're gonna restrict the younger guy or the smaller guy or the shy guy or the guy that doesn't want to be told that he's not as good as he thought he was, and not. So we gotta be careful and cognitive of the fact that we want participation across the board, and that's why we have 4 divisions. And we want to see the best. Don't get me wrong, but I also want to see maximum participation. We want guys to go outside their comfort zone and learn. You're going to go out there and find out that you're not as good as you thought you were.
Yeah.
But you're going to learn from that. Okay, you're going to learn from that, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to find some young buck from Montana who's a nobody on the social channels all of a sudden show up and rip a hole in the ground and next to nothing and be like, what just happened? I'm excited to see that type of thing unfold, but we got to be careful. The commentations can be great, but we got to be careful of getting people shy to participate. We need maximum participation. We need to come to the games and have 100 people wanting to compete, which I believe we will. Look at all the messages I've gotten. People are blowing me up. Like, I'm putting me in. I'm going. Dan Wheeler's won. Dan was like, I am going to be the best at digging holes. Period. Nobody can outdig me. I'm like, you're a bold man.
That's a stiff competition in that category. I have a
feeling.
Mm-hmm. Shawn, I'm stoked about it. And it's like the dangerous part of this is going to be like having all the ideas in year one.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm watching the same Facebook groups you are, and everyone's like, this should be a competition, and this is this. Let me show you this, and let me show you that, and this should be like. There's a lot of ideas floating around here.
There's a lot of ideas floating around. So we created, just so everybody knows, there is a Facebook group, Fence Games. Okay, it's a page. It's not private. There's a Facebook page, Fence Games. It's going to allow us to quickly disseminate some information, house some information there, and attract others to post on their specific fence game things. Right, so we're not clogging down every other channel out there over fence game stuff. Like, this is what that group's made for. So if you carried a bunch of pickets or wheelbarrow, or you got this event or that, like, post it over there and it'll help spark the idea and get the juices flowing on. That's a good idea. We should have that competition. I foresee picket carrying being a competition, right? Absolutely. The guys are having fun with that.
Submissions for that already.
Yeah. Wheelbarrow challenge. I like that. I think the wheelbarrow challenge, we're gonna make it a little bit of a thinking man's game, not necessarily just brute strength. So where, if you can imagine, there's a set called bags of concrete. We got to move, and it's done by time, but also done by efficiency. So you can either take 5 trips in a wheelbarrow or 1 massive trip with a wheelbarrow, but it won't be a straight line. There'll be an obstacle there. So you got to think about, can I turn 12 bags at 90 degrees and head the other direction? If I make it, I'd probably win. If I don't, I'm out. So how would you do that on a job site? Would you really overload it? Yep, over a hump or something, right? So James Blaisdell, he already did that. They put an obstacle course in their front parking lot. I mean, a lot of work. They had dirt piles and posts and a racetrack set up. And then they put somebody in the wheelbarrow, and you had to push the partner who's moving around in a wheelbarrow, which made the load shift a little, which was tricky. Then they had to switch partners and run it through it again. That was pretty funny. But trying to create an event where you got to do some thinking too. Like, I have an action plan. It's not just you're the strongest guy. Like, maybe you got to be good balance, good skill, strength, stamina.
Well, that's what we were talking about before is brute strength, That's always a
Yes.
fun one to watch.
Yep.
But skill
Skill.
and tradecraft, right?
Yep.
But there also should be a knowledge base or just a critical thinking component
Yeah.
to it. Like I think
Yeah.
I think if we're evaluating team members, that's kind of the three areas you look at: physical ability, skill, tradecraft, and just thought process, right? Ability to
Absolutely.
process information.
And somebody will be good at one of those, maybe not good at the other. Somebody may
Yes,
be at two and not one, right?
correct.
So we want this to be attractive to someone that has some good skills. Maybe the guy's been in the fence business for 40 years and he's done picking up bags of concrete. He's not going to put 40 pickets on his shoulder, but he may be able to wire tie like nobody's business with his fingers. Like he's
Sure.
done it so much. So that guy can compete in that event. Maybe there's a brute strength guy that can lift up the pickets, and he's new to the industry, so he doesn't even know how to wire tie or do a bias cut or um, put on a tension brace, right?
Right.
So he may win at that event. But then the critical thinking part is interesting. I haven't quite put my mind around that yet, but like you and I discussed, it would be nice if we had even some random ASTM questions,
Yeah.
and you don't know what five are going to pop up, but there they are,
Well,
and
your study material is the ASTM standard as it pertains to fencing.
mhm,
Now, and that is your bank of questions. It could come from
right.
anywhere within there, and then you
Yep.
randomly choose 5 to 10. I mean, it doesn't have to be
Now,
a 3 hour testing session.
no. It needs to be a
But
few minutes. It's got to be
yeah,
real quick.
yeah.
Real quick. You answer kind of like there's a game show. I like that. They ask a question, and they got to write the answers on the tablet, and then you turn it around, that type of
Hmm.
thing. So,
Hmm.
that'll get some owners more involved in the games
Yeah.
rather than just your installers, and
So
get a
that's
better
what I was
sampling.
just thinking is again, too many ideas in year one, but like the operation side of it,
Yep.
like there should
Logistically,
be,
like, yeah.
because a well-rounded company has rock stars in both camps, right? In the operations and the production side. Like you
Hmm.
need both. If you've got weak office but strong production, you're not going to operate efficiently.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Or
hard to figure that out. We need help.
yeah,
If someone's got an idea of how we get sales team members involved and production managers involved and owners involved. I mean, so the quickest way now to get those ideas or questions to us, message us on Fence Games, message me directly. But give me your ideas, input. We really want this to be collectively as a whole, all of us getting involved in creating this event, and spearheading this in the right direction. But you're right. Right now, there's so many ideas out there. It's like crazy. We gotta simplify it in, and
yeah,
the first couple events may not be,
yeah,
they're just going to get off the ground, get some under our belt, get that ball rolling.
yep.
The other part of this puzzle that we're working with, and I think we've got it sealed. I can't confirm it just yet, but video submission. So may not be the games at AFA or Fence Tech or the Fence Show, but throughout the year we would like to see video submissions, right? So if it's pack and pickets, we're pushing a wheelbarrow. Like we pick a few events and we use a platform that we're working on where they'll be able to use that platform to do the video, submit the video that they actually completed this task, and have a competition through that. So it's people are able to compete without going to a show and traveling somewhere.
Interesting.
In some of these events, CrossFit Games is. I'm very familiar with CrossFit Games. I was an instructor for many years and participated in that, and they did video submissions before regional events. So you didn't get to regionals if you didn't submit and play for the in all 5 events. And before the videos, you had to show the weight on the bar and the clock, and everything had to be. There's the way for the video to be done, so at least it's somewhat legit. Now I get there's all kinds of video editing, I get it, but at least it's somewhat legit. And the platform that we're looking at, I think, will give us some data on the back end and keep it where it's not just somebody emailing a video. We
Yeah,
want to house them where everybody can see them, right? So the whole industry can see these videos as they're being submitted. And I think that'll be interesting to get guys, uh, maybe smaller operations that are not going to travel to a games that compete from other parts of the country or outside the country, right?
yep,
In some of these events that we've created. So we kind of need some staple events they can do that with. And then we need some unknowable events that are going to pop up at these games that nobody saw coming
yeah.
that'll be interesting. Like, oh, here's one.
Hmm.
I don't know, blindfold and push. I don't know. Look, just some really interesting type things to get some attention. Have fun.
So with the video submission, it opens up like a whole different aspect to this, because internationally, right, is what
Hmm.
I'm thinking. Because you've got incredibly skilled contractors in like the UK, so D&J
Yep.
Projects. I talked to those guys a lot. Or you've got incredibly skilled guys in Australia, New Zealand. I understand there's other people, but those are the people I'm familiar with. So you could have like a virtual, like, I don't want to say that.
I,
That's a
I'm
trade.
not sure. Yeah, but you could definitely get more people involved,
Yeah.
and potentially we can take these events from a 1 to 5 minute event, potentially if we can figure this out, into an hour long type event where we're
Hmm.
we're having guys build fence, a segment of fence. I don't know, like something that we can see in the video the entire time,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's possible. It's definitely possible to do.
Absolutely.
But it opens up the door to now we can have guys showing their whole trade. Their whole Now we're looking at the logistics of how the team operates. It's not just wire tying and digging a hole, but how do these 2 or 3 guys communicate and perform and break it down to a man hour. I don't know. It's
Hmm.
we're in the idea stage right now.
Well, and
We're
as it
spitballing.
grows, no, yeah, I mean, as it grows too, then you've got what we were talking about before was like qualifying events, right? So
Hmm.
you could have, just like with horses, you could have with horsing. That's not how you
Horsing.
say that, but just like with showing horses, you would have different regional qualifying
Yep.
events. You have local events, regional events, national events, and then the crowning world event or whatever.
Hmm.
So you could have something like that to where you had eventually, as this thing grows, have regional qualifiers at these different trade association shows or independent of the trade association shows that all lead up to a culminating, event
A
in
massive
Indiana or
event.
somewhere like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, so I do know that Mr. Fence is going to host the games in Indiana, right?
Perfect.
It doesn't have to be at a trade show event. I love the
Yeah,
idea for the trade show to host one.
agreed.
But if there's a fence company in Florida that wants it, or a manufacturer or a distributor that says, I want to host a fence game, we're looking for those people that say, I want to host it. And we'll find a way to logistically get our team there and figure out how to get that thing hosted. But we'd love to have one hosted in the Northeast and the Southwest and the Southeast and, multiple times throughout the year. Have these mini game or just have a fence games in multiple locations at different times of the year. Um, with participation from our industry, and I think this can get better buy-in too. Like Ozark
Of
Fence
course.
could host the games, right? And it doesn't have to be massive. You might only have 15 guys come. Well, fantastic. Let's have some fun, right?
Figure out what that
Have a
looks like.
cookout and grill out, and have some vendors show up there. What a great way to meet and greet and talk and share product knowledge and information and just network even more than we already are.
Right, right,
Uh,
right.
so multiple games of the year, really for people that want to host them. Keith Pace from Texarkana Fence down there. He has done some sort of games before internally with his company. I know Rio Grande at Nashville. They do an internal fence competition yearly with themselves as well. So
Nice.
those guys are already kind of used to it. I could see those guys maybe branching out and hosting offense games and
Yeah.
allowing the local competition to come in. Well,
Wouldn't that be fun? So, yeah, companies start hosting internal games to see who they're going to send to the
Well,
fence.
that conversation's already been had. Several companies have reached out to me and or had conversation with me while I was there coaching. Is they would tell their team, "Look, I'm sending somebody to Top Gun. I'm sending somebody to the games. So the guy here that does X, Y, Z, I'm going to pay for you to go to Nevada. I'm going to pay you to go to Oklahoma. You're going to get a trip out there, and you're going to compete, and you're going to represent our fence company, right?
Yep.
So how cool would that be internally for your company to focus on the little things, get good at your craft, because they're all trying to compete for a spot to go to the fence games somewhere.
I like that a lot.
Right?
They're turning. Wheels are turning. I like that
Right.
a lot.
Right. I could even see some of these guys being sponsored too. That's the other thing I've been
Yep.
throwing out there. Like, can
Yep.
you imagine, Victor Vasquez sponsored by so and so on the back of his shirt? Like
Yep.
have jerseys made. I don't know. This is probably a year 2, 3 down the road here, but I could definitely see some guys getting sponsored because they're really good at their craft.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and that also helps with participation, right? To
Yeah,
have sponsored teams, to have sponsored entries, that sort of thing, to where because you want to see you want to see skilled guys from all over the country,
right,
right? So you don't want finance to be a barrier for them in
right.
coming competing.
That's
So
right.
absolutely, I could absolutely see that
And that's why
having
we're talking about
several
bringing the
companies step
games
up.
locally to them too, because
Yep,
most guys are busy building fence, so they can't take off a week and travel across the country. Like that's not going to work. But
yep,
if we can get them to take a day or two out, I think that's easier than a week. A production truck goes across the country.
yeah,
So
yeah.
localizing these fence games, I think is going to be very important.
I
Or
agree.
getting somebody to fund it for them so they can go. It could be
Yeah,
very
to
important.
make it possible for them to compete.
Yeah,
So
it's big
when
stuff. I don't know.
is the first one at FinStech? Is that the first one?
Currently, I keep saying the
Okay,
word currently because this
sure.
thing's unfolding quickly, right? So
Yeah.
currently, the first one is Fence Tech in
Okay.
Oklahoma City. Currently, I do know that AFA has got behind this, embraced it. They have show floor space that they have designated for this event to happen. So that kudos to AFA for that. They've jumped on
Yeah.
the bandwagon there immediately. FWA is 100% in, so I know that we'll have a show there. Brian at the fence show. But I'm not going to sit here and say there won't be one pops up sooner than that. I need to get my feet
Sure.
on the ground back home and get. I've got several people working with us in the fence industry helping us put this together. So and participation's growing, right? So you've now volunteered to be a commentator.
Absolutely. I
so
am. I am in. I am
so we
in.
got to put you on the team to help figure out logistically how all this stuff comes together, and makes sense without we all still got fence businesses to run too.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
um,
Absolutely.
but I'm not going to say there won't be one sooner.
Oh, sure.
There's multiple events. I think it's Fence Eastwood. What is his name? I'm drawing a blank. Ag World Eastwood. Oh my gosh. Anyways, he's having the East Coast rivalry, I think, this week or potentially coming up. But I could
Yeah.
see, tag team into an event like that where they're already having an event. Well, maybe we bring the fence games there
Yeah.
and participate for one day, and they people can kind of because the cool thing about the fence games is you just kind of come in, do your event, and leave. You don't have to be there all day. Like it's just a
Sure.
matter of really easy time commitment.
Yeah.
There's Luke Gibson's got the Fall Fence Forum event, not
Yep.
too far from us. But
Yep.
as more of those events pop up, it just makes sense for us to try to partner with those events and have the fence games there too. Like,
Well, yeah, and maybe not have a full blown. Maybe just say, hey, we're going to have 3 of the events
that's
or
right.
2 of the events, or yeah,
That's right. Yep.
I like it.
Keep it simple. Hmm.
And again, so that turns into a win-win too. You could have some people attend those events that wouldn't normally
Have
because
come
they're
to,
coming to
yep.
compete, and then they hang around afterwards, and vice versa. You might have some people compete that wouldn't normally, but they were there for, whichever that particular
For
event
ag
was.
fence, right?
Like it.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
it could be a huge win-win. So,
So, Shawn, if you could summarize fence games in 1 or 2 sentences, what would you summarize it as?
oh, the together we get better. We always say that all the time. So I would summarize this is the first step of really, really embracing together we get better as a whole. Okay, we're all in the same boat, rowing at the same time. We need to increase professionalism in our industry. So together we get better. Let's increase professionalism in our industry and really focus on the small details.
Got it. I love it. I love it. Let's say hello to a few people that have popped in. Well, so Roger's got a hard hitting question for you. The real question: who is going to be the first interstellar, Moon or Mars fence installer? That's how Roger's brain works.
Too
Is
much, Roger.
who's installing fence on Mars? Team Elon. Who's on Team Elon?
Yeah.
And then Michael says, Mr. Fence's favorite nationwide rep is in the house. Welcome, Mike. So the Mikes know each other and they're friendly with each other. I like to see that.
Right.
I was afraid we were going to get into some Michael on Michael violence here, but that's not going to happen. Not today.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Devin wants to know, have either of you made the decision to stop offering a product or fence style, struggling to pull the trigger without regretting the decision after the fact, trying to weigh the risk versus reward? So, Shawn, I
Sure.
guess the question there is, how do you choose which products to offer, and have you chosen to discontinue offerings?
Absolutely. I mean, we have picked up products, dropped products, moved on to new products. I mean, that's part of growing. You're absolutely gonna have to do that based on the product and how it fits your business model. It could be a great product, but if it doesn't fit your business model or your core values, move on. Like it's the 80/20 rule. 80% of our problems oftentimes come from this 20% of revenue we're trying to go after.
Yep.
Drop it
Yep.
or move on. Find a better product. Maybe offer a different service or don't offer that service.
I couldn't agree more. Just be we try all sorts of different stuff because you don't know until you try it.
That's right.
You don't.
Yep.
You can theorize. You can say, well, that would probably do well, or that would have worked well. You don't know till you try it.
Yep.
And but don't be afraid to cut ties either. If it becomes unprofitable or if it becomes bad for morale or whatever the situation.
Whatever.
Yeah, if it doesn't fit the business, you cut it loose. And customers understand that too. We don't offer vinyl. Just we don't. It doesn't fit what we do. Doesn't fit our company. There's other companies that do. So we'll have people occasionally call up and say, "Well, you're a fence company. Why don't you install vinyl?" It's just not one of our offerings. However, I could refer you to this or this company.
Yep.
They both do good work.
And they're great at it. Yep.
I would hire them to do it at my house if I needed it. So, that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
But you can't offer everything. What is that? Jack of all trades is a master of none.
None, but still a master better. There's another part of that. It's still better than a master of none or master of one, I think, or something like that. There's more to the story.
Here's how I just distill it down: is if you could become good at one thing, if you had a big enough market where you could do one thing and be just a giant at that thing, all your trucks are set up for it, all your processes are set up for it, there's no deviations, you would arguably become incredibly profitable because you got really good at doing that thing. Now, we're not, even the guys in the biggest of markets aren't in that position. They offer subsequent offerings, but that's the thought though, right? Is that you would want to offer one before you offered 100. So
get good at it. So, Joe, I got about 5 minutes. Let's see if we got any questions for me. Then I got to get my beautiful fiance to Toronto, do some shopping. Then Al's gonna take us around town.
There you go. Robin says, if you get a deposit, how do you tell them a time limit on when you will be there? That's up to your schedule.
Yeah, I would tell them up front what that is.
Well, I mean, you're going to know what your schedule, I mean, even if you're installing it on your own, you're going to know what your availability looks like. Now, one word of caution I'd give you is to add some buffer into that, right? I think that's where a lot of guys get tripped up is they overcommit, and then they get a week of rain, or they get a illness in the family, or they get ill, or any sort of this. So add some buffer in there, but you're going to know your schedule better than anybody. Here's one thing we do too. So when we take a deposit, we give them a week that we'll be there, right? So, Mr. Customer, right now, we're scheduling for the week of September the 17th. Now, typically we start projects on Monday, Tuesday, finish them on Thursday, Friday. But as of right now, you will see us on the week of September 17th. So we give ourselves some wiggle room there too. I'm not telling you we're going to be there Monday morning at 8 a.m. We might not be there till Monday afternoon at 1, or depending on the project, right? But give yourself wiggle room. But customers do want, when they're giving you money, there is that transfer of trust there too.
Yep.
Right? It trust on both ends. So you do need to commit to a date range, right? That they can expect to see you out there, and just make it a safe date range, right? Yep. If I knew I'd been having problems with scheduling or with weather or whatever, and I'm thinking it's the week of September 17th, maybe I tell them the week after. And then, because let me tell you, no one in my experience of ever installing fence has thrown a massive fit when we showed up early.
Generally not.
When we call,
yeah. Generally not. More often than not, they're pissed off because we're not there on time.
Yeah, that's right. You'll call them up, Mr. Customer. Great news. I can actually be there next week instead of the week after. Does that work for you? Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's absolutely. That's you right. Bet. So build yourself in some cushion would be my recommendation. Al says, because there are no fence building standards across the country, You need to take the time to work with your fence association to understand how to build a fence to standards that are best in class for your area.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. The area, ASTM centers are great, but I suspect they don't. It's not a great fit across the entire country or even multiple
Sure.
countries, right?
Yeah.
So how do we have that? We find standards that are universal. Maybe we stay away from ones that aren't, or somehow we work with somebody to find out how do we quantify standards. And they're digging 50 inches deep up here because they pretty much have to.
Yeah.
ASTM standard says 30 inches deep on a 6 foot tall privacy fence, but then there's a caveat based on soil conditions and
Yeah.
geolocation. But how does that work? How do we know exactly where the boundary line is? When does it change to 32, 34, 38, 40, right? I don't know of that. Do you know of that? I don't know geographically. I would love to have someone create a geographical map with terrains and soil conditions and weather conditions and say,
Yeah.
in this area, this is where you should be. In this area, this is where we should be, with a
Yeah.
baseline of ASTM standards, right?
Yeah. No,
What
that's right. Because try to dig a 50-inch hole in southern Florida.
Right. Good
It
luck.
would be 3 feet underwater.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Glover has done some massive footings down there for these ball fields, and he was telling me how they've had 5 foot diameter holes that they just have to dig with massive excavators because it's going to be 15 foot in diameter. And then they put a sonotube and fill it with concrete. But my argument is like, yeah, but you just destroyed 15 feet worth of soil around it. Like,
Yeah.
what good was that? Like, yeah, but down there, the engineers are saying, well, it's about weight and displacement of that weight is what holds it up. Whereas other parts of the country, they need to penetrate that super hard soil. That soil is great. It's like concrete. So
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
they get their post in it, they're good. And they don't have to have a 5 foot diameter. So I wish that we had the ability to give people almost a geographical map and say in these regions, here's kind of a standard you need to be at, a minimum, and here, and here, and here, and here. But I don't know if one exists.
No, and that probably is a limiting factor of ASTM is they had to create some sort of standard that could be applied to projects across the United States.
Yep.
And that's how they did that is by adding that caveat, depending on soil conditions.
Right.
Like
exactly.
they're saying we got to have something, right? We have
Yep.
to start somewhere. But
well, I think it's a minimum, right? They're saying a minimum of 30 inches. Right. And I don't know if there's anywhere in the country that there's any reason why you shouldn't meet that minimum, right? That I know of. But there's definitely areas that doesn't work. And
sure.
and I think that the industry, I think there's some disconnect on exactly where does it not work. Where does you need to be 31 at? Where do you got to be 34 at? Where do you got to be 40?
Well, and then based on soil conditions.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how are you measuring soil conditions?
What if you're in a giant rock?
Soil conditions.
Yeah. What if you're jackhammering a solid rock? Solid rock. I mean, is 1 foot deep enough? Is 6 inches deep enough? Does it have to be 30 inches through solid rock?
Right. Well, and that's the thing is we've been known to core drill and grout into large boulders.
Yeah.
And that arguably that's the strongest post in the fence.
Yeah, but so the newer guys in our industry don't have the experience. They're reading, well, Shawn says it's got to be 30 inches deep. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, that's in normal soil conditions, right? And this as a minimum. But there's guys that successfully build fence in all parts of the country, and they're jackhammering rebar, mortaring that in, and moving on. I mean, it works. But how do we educate?
Good success, yeah.
That works great, right? So we can't tell them what they're doing is wrong. But how do we find a standard that works in an unstandard environment?
That is the trick. So figure that out. But after the electromagnetic post,
yeah, if we just stop digging holes, we figure it out.
That's right. You'd have a lot more time to figure it out if you didn't have to dig holes.
Right.
Or
exactly.
Post or
Yep.
Kyle's got an interesting question. It said, just started working with a company to expand to new construction. They primarily do fences and flooring. That's a wild combination, fences and flooring. How do you gain the respect of his current employees without emphasizing authority? So how do you gain? I mean, well, it's that whole thing like respect isn't given or earned, like whatever that phrase is. Emphasizing authority is probably the wrong way to do it. So I'm glad you said without emphasizing authority.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're gonna have to work with them and kind of see what they think that process looks like.
I don't have a short answer for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't.
But what a wild
Sorry.
combination, fences and flooring.
Yeah.
Like if you walked into my office and said, Joe, you got to pick another trade to get into besides fences, what is it going to be? I don't think I would have gone with flooring.
Right. Nope.
But interesting. I'd like to see it. I don't know. Great question. I mean, it's and I think that's a. So here's the thing too: is like you once you gain respect, it's not like a given anyway.
You have to earn it,
Right.
and you have to continuously earn it. It's earned every day.
Every single day.
Right.
That's
It's just part of it.
A&M's got a question for you. If y'all were 18 years old and you had a mentor, what would then be the first steps to take to start a fence business? Also, what would be the tools you'd buy for your first fence? Thanks for y'all's time. Interesting question.
The first tools would probably be something to dig a hole with.
Yeah.
Because
well, and it's going to vary. It's going to depend on what fence you're installing too. But you're right.
Yeah. Or something to pound a post with. Either pound a post or dig a hole. That's step one. Because if you can't get past that step, we're done.
Good pair of pliers.
Yeah. Mentor was your first step.
And I think to start a fence.
First, go watch some YouTube videos on how to build fence.
Yeah. Get your professional group together, meaning your lawyer, your accountant, who else? Your insurance agent. Try to get your professional group together because those are all people that you want to have on your side from the get go.
From day one.
Here's where some folks get sideways is they do it on the weekends and in the evenings, and they're like, well, I don't really need insurance because it's just me, and I don't need a lawyer because I haven't got sued yet. But the problem is, like, every time you need one of those people, I don't need a banker because I don't need funding. But the best time to meet those people is when you don't need them.
When you don't need them. That's right.
Yeah.
That's 100% right.
Try going to interview lawyers when you're in the middle after you've gotten served.
Yep.
Your clock's already ticking on that thing, right?
Yep.
Or get insurance after there's been an incident. That's going to get
a loan after you have to have a loan.
Yeah.
So
try walking into a bank saying, "Hey, I really need some money.
Money right now.
I've got some questions."
Yeah. Well, my fiance is telling me by the minute she's spending more money. That I went over, so I got to get off of here.
Let me scan real quick and see if there's
ahead.
anything directly. Anybody saying hi, anything like that? So Miguel Cardona, this is one I was looking for because I knew one mentioned you.
Okay.
Miguel Cardona says, "Hi, Joe and Sean."
I like
Miguel?
it. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you,
Sean. Sir, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Continue on without me. The show must go on. I just got to jump off of here and take my lovely fiance to the shopping malls. And
you got it. Hey, listen, you need more clothes in Bentley there. You need some more stuff to fill up some space. So,
no, we're gonna enjoy a few days off here and take our time back to Indiana. We've been hitting it hard for 4 weeks, so I'm gonna enjoy this trip back.
Well, Sean, I'm excited to hear more about fence games. So for people to learn more, they can look for the fence page called
Fence Games. Yep.
Got
or message me directly or pro fence tips, tricks, and it's got a lot of information on it as well. So not hard to find information on it, guys. Yep. It'll be out there. We're gonna get the website up as well. It'll be a little bit, but we'll have a website up as well.
Well, and to find Shawn, really, you just, whatever platform you're on, you just type in there Shawn King and you'll find him.
You should be able to find me. Okay?
Not hard to find. He's not hiding.
All right. Thanks for having me on, Joe. Appreciate that, sir.
Appreciate it. Have a good day. Well, guys, what a guest. What a guest. It's always a good time to have Shawn on. Now, we still have time. We still have at least another hour. So if you guys have questions, comments, be sure to leave those in the comments below. I know we've got some questions in here. I knew we were running tight on time on having Shawn, so I want to make sure we got all the content out there that we needed to. So let me go back to the question. This is when we were talking about fence games. Victor Vasquez sponsored by Aloha Fence. That would be interesting. Aloha. So Josh always puts these tacos in all of the comments, and when are you going to send me some tacos? That's what I want to know. When I come visit Josh, the first thing we're going to do is get tacos because I have to think he's phenomenal at the tacos because they're in all of the comments. Maybe that's a Victor Vasquez thing. I need to be more familiar. I see Victor's posts on Facebook. I need to become more familiar with them. So maybe the tacos are an inside thing. Miguel says, amen. Lorraine, Ohio. Hello, hello. My two favorite fence brothers that I follow and recommend to anyone. Lord bless them, their families, and their business. Amen. Miguel, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Kenny Dugan Steinman is in the house. I'd like to submit to the IFC, International Fence Committee, that staining be entered into the mix. I like it. I like this a lot. I think we know who we could talk into handling some staining. I would like to see that tremendously. Miguel says, brothers, what's up? What and how can I recommend promote my city to the ProMaster Pro Post to be able to probably Postmaster Post? Is that what we're talking about, Miguel? Pro Post to be able to sell it in our city state. So I tell you what we did. So when we started offering Postmaster, this is years ago, there's people that had offered it, and we had offered. I mean, we could purchase them from Master Halco, so we offered it, but we didn't really push it at all until we started having some pretty decent quality issues with both treated pine and cedar post. Steel post at the time that we offered were the round steel CS or Schedule 40, typically CS 40, with the brackets. But the common complaint there was, well, we can still see the posts. I don't want to see shiny metal posts on a wooden fence. It's kind of jarring aesthetically. So I said, well, we have these Postmaster posts. I started showing them, and they got good feedback. Like the customers liked them. So we did a video, and the video really was, let me see. You know what? Let's see if we can find it really quick. Hold one. Now, this is going to be a fun blast into the past. All right. I know this is making riveting podcast content, but for the video content, check out the YouTube page, joeeverest.com/Joe Everest, and look for the Q&A playlist. That sounded almost professional. Okay. Share screen. Chrome tab. Share audio. That one's important. All right, let's see if we can do this.
Hey guys, Joe with Ozark Fence. I'm here to tell you that the standard of wood fence has changed. No longer are we building fence with wood posts, we've upgraded to steel post. Now, steel posts are important for a few reasons. One, wood posts naturally want to warp or twist, and that's something that's not covered under most warranties. Steel posts resist that. Also, they're warranted against rust and corrosion. But finally, they're strong. It'll withstand a 70-mile-an-hour straight-lined wind. For the last 3 generations, we've made a commitment to providing the highest quality fence possible. That's made possible by using the highest quality materials available. That started when we upgraded from treated pine pickets to an Eastern Red Cedar picket to avoid warping or
Now, interesting note here, we actually don't offer the Eastern Red Cedar pickets anymore because they are not available.
twisting. This is the next logical step. To avoid warping and twisting posts, we've upgraded to steel post, and only the next step in providing you the highest quality fence possible.
Anyway, so we made that video. And understand before that, so talking to our Master Alco reps, before that they had sold Postmasters in our market infrequently. In the years subsequent to making that video, this is one of the highest performing markets in the state now for Postmaster Post. We still show that video on social media, across social media channels. just basically telling people, hey, if you want a quality fence that's built well, you should ask for Postmaster Post. Now, because we were one of the main companies in our market offering Postmaster, we actually, before we did this video, we brought in a bunch of inventory of the Post so that we could say we were one of the only stocking dealers of the Post in our market. Now, since that, they've taken away the dealer program for the Postmaster Post. But anyway, we sold a ton of fences with Postmaster Post and continue to. We bring them in. Depending on size, not quite by the truckload, but we bring in quite a few posts. We sit on several thousand of them at any given time, and we keep pushing that video, and it keeps producing interest in those particular posts. Now, I absolutely understand there's different posts out there. There's Lifetime Post and Gregory Post. I get it. We went with the Postmaster Post because it was a post that I felt comfortable with, and that's the post that this question asks about. But that's what I would do if we were to do it again. If you said, Joe, here is a new innovative product that you should introduce to your market, and I liked it and I agreed with it, we would do the same thing. We would create a video just like that saying, hey, customer, this is a product I think you should know about, and I know you value quality, and I know you want the best fence possible for the money installed in your yard. I think this product would work well in it. If you'd like more information, let us know. And then actually what I did in that video was I said something to the effect of your next fence should be installed with, no matter who you choose, your next post or your next fence should be installed with the Postmaster Post, knowing that we were one of the only people in the market that carried them. We were the only one that had them on hand. So anyway, I would create a video. Miguel is the answer to that question. Really long answer, but video content, I'm a huge, huge fan of it. I travel the country talking to people at these training events, and that's what I speak on is creating video content. I mean, that's what we're doing right here, right? So creating a bond that we have in this show with your future customers, creating a bond like this with them is nothing but beneficial. Justin Menendez, what is up? The business best. Justin with Making All Things New. Justin, welcome. Justin is working on a program. Justin, we should have you on to talk about the things that you are working on that we've been talking about. Justin's working on an ambitious project. It's something that we've helped out with the last couple of years and continue to do so because I think it's very much worthwhile. We should have you on. Talk about it. Let's figure out the logistics on that. Regardless, Justin, welcome. Fellow Joe is here. Howdy from Southeast Texas. Finally, that's all right, Joe. Hey, late's better than never, right? And it's not late because you're here. Hey, Braden dropping the link. Thank you, Braden, for checking out the fence games. I am stinking excited about that. I can't wait to see what games come into existence and which ones get evolved and grow. I think it's going to be incredible. Al Martin's great show. Al, thank you. It's not over yet. We've still got a little bit of time, about 45 minutes or so. Now, what are we going to talk about for the next 45 minutes? Fantastic question. We'll figure that out. To figure that out, drop comments in the comments below what you'd like to learn more about for the fencing industry. Help us generate some content here. Actually, we can go back and watch some videos. I haven't shown you guys videos. Now, if you follow the channel, you've already seen the videos on the channel, but there's some pretty good ones there. Yeah. Joe says, dang, that was a while ago. You're not kidding. Let's play a game and figure out when that was. Let's see. That was March of 2018. So, blast from the past on that one. I actually didn't think it was that long ago. I knew it was a while ago, but there you go. 4.5 years ago. Essentially, basically. Is that right? 22, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yes, 4 years. I started. Sometimes math is hard. All right. Guys, what should we talk about? Let's look at some. Let's talk about the videos we're in the middle of making right now. So you guys saw the dinosaur video, right? Hopefully you saw the dinosaur video. So they haven't seen that. Well, I did. Did I do a live? I did a picture. From the dinosaur enclosure that we're building a fence for. Really excited about that. We're probably after this, we're going to do some reactions and then go over to the Discovery Center to check out that fence. I think it turned out incredibly well. Huge shout out to Ameristar for partnering with us on the project, for providing the product for the project for the Springfield Discovery Center. It's already had a massive impact. So talking with the guys there, they keep me updated via text on how it's going. They said, a lot of folks are showing up, take pictures with it, but also then looking around, figuring out that it is a Discovery Center and going on in, which is kind of what we're trying to help do. We're trying to help Discovery Center of Springfield, or Springfield Discovery Center. It's going to be one of the two of those. Is a not-for-profit organization that's really helping kids learn and to grow their educational experience through hands-on STEM type projects. So it's a really neat organization. So they reached out to say, hey, well, I tell you what's going on. This is how the conversation started. Was they had these big electrical transformer boxes right outside the building. It's a repurposed building that whatever was there before had a large electrical needs, because they had either three or four transformer boxes there anyway, and kids were climbing on them and like sitting on them, and generally not what you want your kids doing on these large transformer boxes. Now, the larger question is, where are the parents in this scenario that are letting their kids climb on these electrical transformers? But that's a whole conversation about parental responsibility that I don't think these particular people are ready for. But that was the thing, was we need to put a fence around these because we don't feel it's safe to have kids playing around these electrical transformers. Agreed. Let's keep them off of them. So, but then it's just a fence around some electrical transformers. So, and this is to the credit of, so if you guys are in our area, Tyler Moles with Discovery Center, he was who I was meeting about. He goes, you know what? He goes, I was actually up just north, I think it's just north of Kansas City. And I found a guy that imports dinosaurs, huge metal dinosaurs from Mexico. He works with a company down there that manufactures these, that makes these, welds these. And I was like, tell me more about the dinosaurs, because I've got a little man that loves dinosaurs. We should figure this out. And he goes, well, I think we could put dinosaurs in here. And then we call the fence like a dinosaur cage. Well, and they had they planted sunflowers too to try to make it look nice. It's outside their building. It's right at the frontage of their building, right? But so he said have dinosaurs like climbing through this sunflower, like the small field of sunflowers. And then he took the ball and ran with it. He said, would Ozark Fence help us out? Because like I said, they're not for profit. Any money they spend on the fence is money that they wouldn't spend on bringing new STEM type projects to the kids, right? So okay, yeah, we could figure this out. Now I can't donate the entirety of it. I mean, they were asking for a 5 foot tall ornamental steel fence. I said, but I bet I know a supplier that if I explain the situation to them, I think that they could help us out. And Ameristar absolutely stepped up to the plate and partnered with us on the project, provided the materials. We provided the labor for free, and got them a really nice looking fence that has like a whimsical kind of look to it. That really, instead of just a fence around electrical transformers, it's a dinosaur enclosure. Now you guys know me. One of the questions was, I'm in. Sure, absolutely, done. But could one of the dinosaurs be orange? I think that would be stinking hilarious. And I'd be willing to pitch in some funds for these dinosaurs. Because, again, this is money that comes away from the kids. I want to help make this project happen. So, sure enough, the T-Rex is orange. It didn't come orange. It came a different color. I think it came some boring, like, dinosaur color. It was green with black stripes. It actually looked really nice. But orange it is. And it's got... So sometimes my wife watches this with the kiddos, so I'm not going to give it all away. But in a little while, there's going to be another neat little thing on one of the dinosaurs that it was their idea, but their way of saying thank you for helping make the project happen. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to go film the wrap up to that. We filmed the installation of it. Was it 2 weeks ago? It had to be 2 weeks. I wasn't here last week before last, of the actual fence installation. And we could have included it in that video, but it wasn't done yet. They've got signs up now. They went and found some big steel like flowers and bolted them to the building to give it kind of some 3D texture. It looks cool. It looks very cool. I'm going to try to show it to you. Again, I understand not great podcast content. I apologize. To watch this content, check it out. youtube.com/Joe Everest. Look for the Q&A playlist. All right. For this, we are going to Facebook. Because I think I shared it out. Let's see. On the final? Oh. Yeah, I think I shared it on my personal, like the final. Maybe I did. Riveting content. I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's not it. So, well, there is one that I did. Where is it? Here's on those Art Fence. Well, like the finish, like with the flowers on the wall. Because I shared one. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So let us share this. Getting good at screen sharing here, folks. Stop screen, share screen, Chrome tab. We don't need audio. So that's it. How can I get this bigger for you? I'll just, well, okay. That's as big as it's going to get. But yeah, so they put these whimsical little flowers up on the wall. I guess so this happened while I was out of town, but I guess they came by and got one of our banners. So there's a massive Route 66. So this facility, this building sits right on Route 66. So we have a big birthplace of Route 66 festival every year that has a ton of people and a ton of cars. So they came by to get one of our banners. So they're putting up a sign that says proceeds underwritten by Ozark Fence. That hadn't been up there yet, so you got that banner. Well, anyway, so this is an example of kind of like thinking somewhat outside the box. I mean, you can see the electrical transformers there on the left. I don't know. So you can see two of them. I think there's another one somewhere around the Ozark Fence sign, if I remember right. I think there's a smaller one in there. Yeah, you can kind of see it under the banner. Anyway, so these were pad mount to the concrete sidewalk using the redhead anchors. Went up really well. We put in gates. We worked with them on exactly where they wanted the gates to provide access to these transformers should they ever need maintained, serviced, or replaced. But yeah, so kind of an outside the box little thought here on how do you dress up a fence that keeps kids from climbing on electrical transformers? You turn it into a dinosaur cage, obviously. So what's really neat is as these sunflowers grow, it's going to look like these dinosaurs are kind of like climbing out of a field of sunflowers almost. I don't know. I think it's going to turn out really neat. Let me know what you guys think about it. So that will be on this week's video. Now, Divine says, can't wait to learn more about driving aluminum ornamental. There does need to be more ways to do no-dig projects. That is an interesting question that I cannot speak on right now. But, yeah, stay tuned for that discussion later. Topic for discussion, fence on retaining walls and through paver patios. So retaining walls, we've mounted directly to them. If we're talking about poured in place concrete, we've mounted directly to them. So the block walls make me nervous on mounting. I've seen guys mount to them. When part of a larger project that has the engineered drawings as part of a larger plan, we have mounted two walls in the past. They're typically retaining walls that are glued in place and that whole thing. sometimes we get asked to mount them on just regular like paver walls, or not just regular block walls that are not. I don't know how to describe this, but walls that are probably done by a local contractor that aren't glued together. They're simply like, they're stacked, right? They're not really. They don't have the supporting beam that goes back into the ground that supports the wall. They're not affixed to each other, and we don't typically do those simply because I'm worried about over time if that wall fails, fence fails, obviously, but does the added stress of that fence, because what typically why they're installing that is they want to keep people from falling off this wall, right? So so in that scenario, someone does fall against this. Does that weaken the wall, and does the wall fail, or does little Susie or little Johnny kicking soccer balls against this thing or climbing off this thing, does that weaken the wall over time? Maybe not on incident one, but the 100th time that this fence is got hanged on. There you go. And listen, I was a kid once, so what I would have done if I had a fence on top of a retaining wall, that would have turned into like some sort of rappelling tower, right? So a fence would be a really great place to tie a rope onto and try to climb up and down this wall. Does that weaken the wall? Does it weaken the fence as attached to the wall? It makes me entirely too nervous. So typically we would offer another solution, which is to install the fence just inside the wall or into undisturbed soil near the wall. Would make me feel best about it. And because 9 times out of 10, that fence is going to be fine. I understand. Mounted on the wall, it would never get disturbed. Okay. But that one time is what I'm concerned about. When something happens, because when something happens, it's not going to be oops. It's going to be something pretty tragic. And I don't want to be part of that scenario, right? Because then there's going to be a lot of questions about, well, did you test the structural integrity of the wall? Did you install the fence knowing the purpose of the fence is to stop someone falling off this? Now, God forbid something happened, somebody did fall off of it. You're liable for this. And we're going to try to prove that you didn't install it correctly, that you knew that there were risks and you assumed the risk by installing the fence. I don't want to play that game. I would sure like for this company to be here for my kids and their kids, God willing. So, we do install on certain retaining walls. Poured in place makes me feel the best. I mean, those I have absolutely no problem installing onto, as long as we're not installing near the edge where you might be concerned with chipping out the wall. Center of the wall, of a wider wall, absolutely no problem. Proper sized plate for the fence makes me feel great about it. Some guys will core drill into the wall. I'm not a big fan of that, just because then you're kind of taking responsibility for the concrete around that, because if the concrete splits, even if it's not your fault, if it's near that hole, then the concrete contractor is going to make the argument that you poking a hole in that wall may have led to the weakening of the structural integrity of the wall. I don't even want to have that conversation. So typically we'll plate, put on top of the wall. Through paver patios, typically we would just move the pavers, and then if we're talking about ones that are installed as like a patio, the individual pavers that make up a patio, they're somewhat common here. Typically we would remove whatever pavers we needed, dig the hole, replace the sand, compact the sand, put the pavers back on them, but then custom cut. Usually we would work with a mason that does pavers to custom cut these, whatever paver comes in contact or around the post, replace it, recompact it. That thing is typically, I don't want to mount to the pavers. I really don't, because again, this fence gets used for worst case scenario and it fails because it's just attached to the pavers. Not a good look, right? That would be how I would attach them. However, I'm interested. I'm always here to learn, right? I'm learning right alongside you guys. I'd love to hear how others install. Divine, how do you guys attack retaining walls and paver patios? Not a challenge. I legitimately want to know, because maybe our way isn't the best way. It's the way we do it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is the best way. So always one to learn on that as well. Ken Throgmorton, what is up? Love it. This is probably talking about the aluminum. Yeah, Mark Olson has it perfected. Well, Ken says he has it prefected. I think he means perfected. So, yeah, Mark's onto something on that driving aluminum post thing. Roger says poured in place with embed plates would be the best way to go. Yeah. So ultimately, if we know ahead of time before they pour that wall, yeah, Roger's absolutely right. If you could embed mounting plates to that, that then become part of the wall, best case scenario. Absolutely best case scenario. Now, typically we get brought in after the wall's already in place. Even on this is the part that blows my mind. Even on, commercial projects where we are coming in right after the concrete contractors laid this thing or poured this thing and finished it out. Yeah, it would be much easier if these things were embedded, but they're typically not. They're in our region. They're typically installed after the fact. We're brought in after the concrete's done and finished and it's been there for a little while to cure out. Yeah. So, but you're right. Roger's absolutely correct. Adam Sims, hey Joe, sorry mate. Hate I missed Shawn. That's all right, Adam, because these are also played as a replay. I believe that it goes up as a replay right after this is done. Is that right, Braden? Probably. The replay goes up immediately after this. So looks by the picture you're watching on YouTube. So as soon as this gets done as a live, it should maybe give it a couple minutes, but it'll be up as a replay. Okay. I'm being told sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it should be there eventually. So literally after we click end broadcast, it ends the broadcast, and I'm sure YouTube probably has to do some sort of re-upload as a recording. I don't know about that, but you can check the playlist. We need to make sure that when this one was set up that we check the box for the playlist to be Q&A, but we will make sure that happens. Yeah, it should be re-uploaded as a recorded video after the live. Now, how long after live? Apparently that's a little bit up for debate. So, but it should be there. Adam Sims says, have a developer who just requested a bid on a baseball field. Any thoughts or tips? A lot of fence, a lot of tall fence. Well, it depends. So in our area, they've actually been going to netting for like backstops and some of the wings, and then traditional chain link fencing for sidelines and outfield. We're seeing a lot more netting used. Just long term, it's a better product. And I don't think I'm going to give away any secrets here. We partner with Empire Netting on netting projects to where they've got a couple different options. They've got one option where they'll provide you a number for the material and then some oversight on it. So they'll have one of their supervisors come down and kind of walk through the project with you and kind of give guidance on how to install it, that sort of thing. Then they also have a turnkey option where they would send the crew with the material and they would just ensure that it gets installed correctly to their standards. Now, obviously, one of those numbers is bigger than the other. But we typically partner with them on the turnkey solution. They do really good work, and it's something that we know that they will do a bang-up job on, and they will make us look really good because they do phenomenal work. So if it has netting, I would recommend sending the plans to Empire, probably Jamie's who we deal with largely up there. But yeah, tell them you got a netting project if it's netting. Now, if it's chain link, because it just says have a developer who just requested a bid on a baseball. So it could be chain link. The backstop's going to be fairly tall. You're going to need a man lift for that. Make sure. So they got different man lifts, right? So we're talking about scissor lifts that off-road tires, because this will not be on nice compacted soil. This will be on newly disturbed soil. So off-road tires, scissor lift, but make sure it's we refer to it as a 3-person. It's a larger. They've got smaller 2-person. They got 3-person. Sometimes I've seen on bigger jobs they have 4, like really big, like almost scaffolding size man lifts. You want the biggest one you can get because while you're up there, you're trying to stand this wire up. You're trying to tie it, trying to figure out your fittings and all that. You don't want your 2 people or you and a helper to be shoulder to shoulder in that thing when you're trying to work within your small defined area. You want some room to move in there so that you can get your business done a little bit easier. But yeah, so There's a lot to it. Mainly it's going to be, well, it depends. I was going to say mainly it's going to be black coated chain link. Some of the ball fields around here are still being installed with galvanized, but a lot of it is black coated. Some of it's still galvanized. I don't understand that at all. But anyway, that's really the only thoughts I have on it, Adam. So if you have more detailed questions, absolutely reach out, let me know, or put them in the comments below. Always be happy to help. A lot of them are on a case by case basis. So there doesn't seem to be a standard ball field, right? So Adam goes on to say it's at a high school. Now there are what is it? Misha, MSSHA. Well, that's probably the Missouri. So what is that? Missouri Sports. I don't know. So we've got Misha to deal with. So Misha has some minimum requirements as to outfield depth, as to the layout, like how long each foul line is, that sort of thing. But they don't have a lot of guidelines as to exactly what the fence needs to be. I say that because I'm thinking about a bunch of chain link, some netting on the more progressive fields. But there's a private high school here in town that theirs is almost entirely wood. They've got a chain link backstop, black coated chain link backstop, and chain link out to the end of the dugouts. But then from there on back, so the rest of the foul line or the fence near the foul line to the back, the outfield fence, it's all wood. And the what do they call that? The batter's eye, the part right between when you line up home plate right over the pitcher's mound out to the outfield, that's like a 12-foot tall wood fence. Everything's painted green. Kind of wild, something to see. But so I'd say that to say I'm talking a lot about chain link. It might be wood. You never know. There's not a really good standard as to exactly what that is. And now a lot of the backstops are going to look the same. Well, I say that. A lot of the backstops are going to look the same where they're typically 12 to 14 feet tall, and then they'll have a 2-foot kick out just to try to keep those foul tips in. But we just got done with one. Who was it for? It was for a contractor, but it's for City of Nixa or the Nixa schools. And theirs was just a vertical backstop. Theirs was a 14-foot vertical chain link. So even then, so it doesn't have the kickback or the kickover. So there's not really a great standard as to exactly what to expect on that. You're going to just really need to get into the plans. But always happy to help. Let me know if I could be of service. I'd be happy to connect you if it's got netting and if you'd like to be introduced with Empire. I could absolutely do that too. I'm more than happy to. They are great people to work with. Adam says, "You rock." Shirts in the process. Adam, looking forward to that. So guys, I made a post. I don't know if I shared this one on YouTube or not. I shared it on my Facebook page where, so we went on vacation last week, and Taylor, the wife, had asked if I could curtail the amount of Ozark Fence apparel I brought with me, and I think she thought that meant could I decrease the amount of orange I bring with me. But little did she know, I had some orange shirts already. So Chattahoochee had made an orange shirt for me when we were down there for some training last year. Massive shout out. Also, Ken Throckmorton had made a shirt, an orange shirt. And actually, I should have brought it up here with me. It's the shirt I wore today, actually. So, or no, I wore it yesterday. Never mind. So, another orange shirt that I enjoy wearing. Ken had gotten that shirt to me. God, where was it? It was at the AFA training in Lincoln. They're at Waverly. They're at Empire. So I took those with me. So found a little bit of a loophole. Not Ozark Fence shirts, but they were orange, and it was hilarious to watch that. So anyway, vacation was good. Had a good time. You guys saw me live from there, and let me tell you, I was still in beach mode in that live. I was a little bit foggy still. It was a great time. It was great just to disconnect, right? And while I was down there, I took the opportunity on Wednesday to go over and see Josh Glover down in Panama City. We were just outside Destin and Miramar, and so it's about an hour drive. Went down, saw Josh, did some fishing in the morning. Unfortunately, we're at the beginning of hurricane season, or somewhat in the early stages of hurricane season, or something like that. Anyway, hurricane season is upon them. And so for the morning, we went fishing, and it was great. And then the storm started that afternoon, and it got a bit sporty. It was pretty. The waves were getting quite a bit larger. Now we did end up catching some fish. Caught some triggerfish, some red snapper. I think they called one like a black snapper or something, and then a couple blackfin tuna on the way back. So that was a good time. I would recommend guys disconnecting and taking vacations, as you can. One of the people, so during the live stream, someone had mentioned that they hadn't taken a vacation in like 10 years or something like that. I was thinking back on it. So after that broadcast thing, I was like, when was the last vacation we had taken as a family? Was 2019. It was November 2019, right before the big pandemic. Took the kids on basically on a birthday trip for my daughter, whose birthday is in November, and then COVID hit, and that pretty much ended vacations for the family. Josie came along, who's a year and a half, so she showed up, and then we didn't feel super comfortable taking kids on family vacations for a little while, just in the interest of keeping the kids healthy. So this year was our first kind of vacation back from pandemic, and went super well. Everybody stayed super healthy. Everybody had a great time, except for the rain. Last half of the week was pretty rainy, and I tell you what. So I joined you guys on Friday for that live. So Friday morning we woke up. We had only been to the beach a few times just because of the rain, and we were across the street from the beach. There was not any of that. It just kept raining, and you do not think about going to the beach when it's raining, right? So finally woke up. We were leaving on Saturday morning, Saturday morning-ish, brunch time. But I knew we weren't going to the beach on Saturday. This was our last opportunity to get on the beach. I knew I was talking to you guys Friday afternoon. So Friday morning it was, and it was pouring. Now, not storming. It wasn't like lightning and thunder, but it was pouring. So I told the kids, said, put on your bathing suits. We're going to the beach. And that perplexed them for a little bit. They're like, well, it's raining. Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Once you jump in the ocean, you're not going to get more wet. I mean, you can only get so wet. So at that point, the rain's just really rinsing you off. So let's go. And we did. So me and my friend / business partner, Chris, we took the kids across the street to the beach, let them play, and they had a freaking blast. They really did. My middle now, my son thought it was hilarious. It was pouring, guys. You couldn't see more than like 3 or 4 feet in front of your face at some points, and he just thought it was hilarious that as he built sandcastles, the rain was washing it away. And it might not surprise you to say we had the run of the beach. We went exactly where we wanted to go because there was us and like 2 other people on the whole beach. Now, when the sun came out, there was us and like 3,000 people on the beach. So it was kind of nice. I say all that to say, I was trying to make a point last Friday, and then Taylor kind of popped in and reminded me that it's time to take the kids to get milkshakes. But the point I was making is you got to take time for yourself, and you got to take time for your family. So I heard, who was it? It's probably Brad Rea, Brad Lee. Watch a lot of his stuff on TikTok. He was making a point on one of these that, as we grow and as we climb and as we level up, he likes to talk about leveling up businesses and leveling up professionally. You got to remember to bring your family with you, right? You got to remember that they get leveled up too, and they come along for the ride as well. And I think that's something that I have unintentionally struggled with. I was focused on my climb and all that, and I don't want to say took the family for granted, but it kind of happens though, right? Is you're so focused on building a business and building a brand and building success, and you kind of just assume that the family comes along with you, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get left behind. So you need to take time for yourself. You need to take time for your family and reconnect with the family and make sure you're leveling them up and bringing them with you on the journey. That's something that I kind of towards the end of the week of vacation, I realized I hadn't been doing a good job of, right? They haven't been taking enough time for them. So take time for vacation, take time to make the memories, because I tell you, I think I tried to tell this story and got a little choked up about it. So when my oldest is 13 now, when she was a year and a half, we went down to Alabama, we went down to Gulf Shores or Orange Beach, somewhere like that. And I have a distinct memory of walking on the beach, holding her as a year and a half and looking at the beach and just enjoying the day. It was actually Father's Day at that particular time. So Father's Day on the beach with my 1.5-year-old, or a little over one, something like that, daughter. Fast forward to this year, my youngest daughter is 1.5 years, and I was holding her on the beach. I hadn't thought about that other memory probably since it happened, maybe. But it struck me that I'm holding my youngest, who's 1.5, watching my 13-year-old play in the water with my 4-year-old playing in the sand. I was like, oh, feels like yesterday I had my oldest as 1.5 sitting on the beach. Now, arguably, 100 miles away or something on the beach, but it just struck me, right, that we don't take enough time for family and for making these memories. Chris put it best. My friend put it best when he's like, "This isn't a vacation. This is a memory making. What do you say? Memory making excursion or expedition or adventure. Memory making adventure. I think that's what it was." And when you put it like that, it's absolutely true. I mean, these kids are going to make memories off this, and as business owners, sometimes we don't have the same opportunities to make memories, right? So, for better or worse, we're built different in that we don't show up at home at 4:30 Monday through Friday. We don't take Saturday, Sundays off, obviously, to be with the family to go do things, right? We're building our businesses, we're building our brands and our empires, right? And so we roll in at the house at 6 or 6:30, and the kids, at least in our house, kids go to bed about 7:30. Baths start at 7, so see the kids for a half hour in the afternoons. They're typically, now my son gets up at the crack of dawn. He is up with God and the greenskeepers every single morning, but so he does see me before I leave for work. But the other kids don't. The other kids are sleeping when I leave, so I see him for a half hour, maybe an hour a day through the week, and I see him Saturday afternoons, most of the day Sunday. But on Sundays, I typically help with the live streaming of the church service. So anyway, I say that to say I've not been doing a fantastic job of being available for the family and to be building memories with the family. So we got to be cognizant of that. We got to see that and see that that's a problem, and we got to make more time with the family. So I think we're going to make a commitment to try to do 2 vacations a year to get me with the family twice a year. I think if you add up the extra hours through the week and the Saturdays, 3 or 4 Saturdays a month, I think we pretty quickly get to a week of catch-up time pretty easily. So that's our plan. But I say that to say I'm issuing the warning to you guys. I'm sharing my warning with you. Be sure to focus on your family. Take time to spend with your family. Bring your family along with you for the journey, right? Level them up as you're being leveled up, because, it's so here's Brad. So Brad's point was, or his story was, you guys should follow. Let me make sure his name's Bradley before I tell you that. Send you to somebody else's content that is not what I'm wanting you to see, maybe. Okay, so we're gonna we're gonna turn the volume down so we're not like copyright infringing people's stuff. Brad. Yep. Okay, the channel's the real Bradley, because apparently maybe somebody has Bradley and the real Bradley. Look for the blue check mark. That's the one, Bradley. He's got language, so know that. Don't watch it around the kids. But he doesn't use it just he doesn't use it just for the shock factor of the language. He's just using it to illustrate points. So it's got a purpose, is what I'm saying. He doesn't just randomly use it. So, but the story he was sharing was that he had come home one night and he had thanked his wife for something, or for taking care of the kids, or for doing all that. And she said, "Brad, I hope you know that we're learning to operate without you. Like, you are away on work, and you're away when you're in town, you're at work, and we're learning to operate without you. We are becoming self-sufficient. That does not include you. So you need to understand that your kids are learning to do without you. And that at some point is not going to be good. It's not going to be okay. And you're going to regret that we learned to live without you. So that when you're here, we'll probably still operate without you." And he said, that was the point I realized I had been leveling up me, and I'd been leveling up my business, but I had not been leveling up my family, and I was not bringing them along with me on the journey. So anyway, little TikTok piece of advice for you that I'd found that I'm sharing with you. be sure to bring your family along with you. Guys, it's 2 hours and 24 minutes. We're just about at the 2.5 hour mark. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, drop those in the comments below. Also, remember, should have done this in the beginning. The contest is still open for Spend a Day with the Expert. We've got some good submissions. We'd like to have more to make sure we've got a full pool of entries to choose from. So if you'd like to spend a day with me and the team, bring your team along with you if you'd like. Typically, it's you and a guest, but if you'd like to bring your team, just like Bo Butler did, earlier this month, totally fine too. Submissions are open. The contest entries are open until the end of the month, which means you've got, I don't know, what is it, a week and a half or so, under 2 weeks to get that done. Be sure to get in there because it will it closes automatically at the end of the month at midnight or 11:59 or something at the end of the month. Contest closes, and then then we choose a winner. Also, every month, we are running an Amazon gift card. For a $100 Amazon gift card, we just sent that one. I was supposed to announce that today. Let's see. I will tell you exactly who it was. We were going to show you guys how we choose the winners just to show that it's like completely legit. But with the program we use, Gleam, when it chooses a winner, it shows you like all of their information, including like email address and like all the stuff you don't want people knowing about you. So we're not doing that, but we are going to announce July's winner was, hold one. All right. Joe, his fellow Joe Ismay. That's right. So I saw the name come up and I was like, I know Joe. He's in the comments a lot. So where was bingo? Joe Ismay was July's winners. Joe, congratulations. $100 Amazon e-gift card. It was the one thing we could think of that pretty much everyone would use and would find helpful. So yeah, Joe was July's winners. August contest is open. So really, you can get logged in. You can get signed up pretty easily simply by entering in some contact information. Understand, I don't sell the information to anybody. We actually don't even send you any emails at all right now, but that's a requirement. It's a basic requirement of the platform to get signed up. And then you can have like bonus points based on some secret words that we share out in the Week in the Life video. We are 2 hours and 26 minutes into this, so I'll share with you guys this. No, let's do, which one's current right now? You know which? Yeah. How about you give me an old code? Yeah. I'll make sure I'm not giving away. I know which one we recorded yesterday, but that's in 2 weeks. I want to give you that one. Oh, that's actually Monday? Okay. Yeah, an old one. It'll still work in the generator. Trident. So if you go to, can we drop the link real quick, Braden? I'm just dropping this stuff on you. I'm sorry. Braden's going to drop a link in the description below. If you click on that link, it'll take you to the contest and it'll say secret word or secret code or something. Trident is what you enter in there, and it gives you some bonus. Also, let me see. No, I don't think I can log into it from this computer. Let's see. Nope. All right. Don't have it pre-saved. So anyway, you get bonus points you also get bonus points if you do all the actions, and you get bonus points for if you've participated in all of the other contests, which right now is just July. So if you interacted with July's, if you entered to win in July's, and then again in this month in August, you get bonus points because you've interacted with all of them. So anyway, bunches of chances to win. Joe had a lot of entries. He performed a lot of the tasks, so it got him a better chance at winning, as he did. So if you guys would like to sign up to win a $100 Amazon gift card, the link is in the description below. Thank you, Braden. You can click on that. Also, I believe we have the link on every Week in the Life. You can watch the videos to get more of the secret words, secret codes, or I don't know what Gleam calls it. Anyway, for each one you enter, you get bonus points. So if you keep a running list of the previous weeks, or you could go back and watch the videos and enter those, you also get additional bonus points. So this could add up to a lot of bonus entries as we move forward. So don't forget, sign up for that contest. Sign up to come win a day with me and the team, where just like Bo and his team, you guys can come in, interact with me and my team for the day, and pick our brains and see how the operation runs, and generally see if we can help you run your organization a little bit more efficiently. This is like the first 2.5 hour broadcast we've done in a month, and I think it went swimmingly. So moving forward, we're back on to Saturdays. We've got a host of guests lined up that I think I'm stoked about. I hope you guys will be excited about. Let me tell you who's coming on the show. So next week, Caleb Roth with Expert Professional Wood Care, who also happens to sponsor the show. Thank you so much, Caleb and Ashley. On the 3rd, Nathan Downs. So Nathan is with his company is Perimeter Security. They're in Tulsa. I don't know if it's Radius Perimeter Security. Radius is the name of the business in Tulsa. He's also the president of the Midwest chapter of the AFA. We're hosting a golf tournament. If you follow me on Facebook, you've seen I shared with you guys the infographic on that. Come play golf with us. Actually, so Friday is a dinner, and I think we're talking about putting some educational content on during the day on Friday. Saturday is a golf tournament. They're at the Shangri-La. Really nice golf course. Really nice facilities in general, as far as the dinner is a really nice place. The Anchor, I believe it's called, there at Shangri-La. Really nice. And then we do an evening of networking. We typically retire over to the fire pit at the pool. There have been known to be whiskey and cigars at this place, and some generally good time in networking. We also do kind of a business. Well, at dinner we do kind of a business meeting with the Midwest AFA. So if you guys are in or around the Midwest, we'd sure love to see you in Oklahoma at the Shangri-La. Let's see, that is September 16th and 17th. Nope, that's not right. September 23rd and 24th. So sure love to see you guys there. But anyway, Nathan's going to come on. We're going to talk about that. September the 10th is going to be Matt Warner. Now, I have been sworn to secrecy on what the announcement's going to be, but there will be an announcement. I've been sworn to mostly secrecy. The big announcement is going to revolve around something called Operation Stampede, and I think you guys are going to like it. So Matt Warner's coming on the 10th. On the 17th is going to be Dan Blanc, the Fence King. You guys know Dan. Also has a podcast, My Fence Life. I almost called it The Fence Life, and that's 2 different podcasts. October 1st, we're going to have Michelle with Pink Collars. I think we haven't had her on the show yet. You guys are going to really like Michelle. I know her because we use her services. The Pink Collars, they're our call center, but I decided I'd like to bring her on, introduce you guys to the concept of having a remote call center and kind of what that process looks like. We like it a lot. No broadcast on October the 8th. On October the 15th, Michael Reed, the new executive director of the American Fence Association, is coming on. I can't wait to introduce you to him either. He and I had a private Zoom call probably about a month ago, right after his announcement. And great guy with a great vision on exactly where he's wanting to take the American Fence Association. I think you guys should plan on attending that one, October the 15th. No broadcast on October the 22nd. On October the 29th, we will be having a live with whoever wins the Spin a Day with the Expert that's going on right now. So could be you if you sign up. You could be the guest on October the 29th. No broadcast on November the 5th. November the 12th. Rachel with My Salesman is going to come on. Pretty stoked about that. Tony Thornton is going to come on November the 19th. You guys know Tony. Tony's been on the show. If you guys are in the fencing industry, you know Tony. Massive force in the fencing industry. Now has a consulting firm. I'd like to introduce you guys to him, or at least talk to him about that venture, about what that looks like, having him come out. And then, none on November the 26th, because that was the day after Thanksgiving. December Yeah, actually, I think that's the last opening I put in there. So we're booked through mid-November, or actually late November. So stay tuned to figure out who's going to come on for December. Guys, got a whole host of guests coming on. I am very excited about that. Can't wait to talk to you guys or introduce you guys to them and to have them answer any and all of your fencing or non-fencing related questions. Guys, it's 2.5 hours. Looks like we're caught up on the comment section. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. Until next week, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, reminding you that good fences make good neighbors.